sana emasemo oikasomoli omoli kominto yuminto inok mukate
Asigeka serikali wasense ya Kenya nigo yabeire nse y'omurubiryo O844 makoeta nigo mwakoyo wase y'omurubiryo okupuka atwasora rasmi asomurubiryo OCBC gose computer based curriculum boigo asomwa kugocha koso atoli nanda asomurubiryo nde okorokwa CBE eyeniki kigakogera ya korekana na kiara korekana ne abaiguri kuna more kagabu na ki parengere na ke serikali to ya gani singa CBC bune ndata koba abonaiga ine nje bangete biya osekerengere kiya una yokuru wetera sichina machito chichi SMS cha sichi TV chito na bego asichire chito amoro yo nguchirwe kera CBE re karabana bocho so asekerasi komi na ki bawo chigoso karanso ike kumanyigo tantan mongo sutaya kara waziri no alega ko yera ni ya onsi una trala to kumubodi atwa manyiwa watoko toka asechi digital app chito chonsi na bayo kurwasi television chito na bayo asiji TV kigoro kwa mkata enok kurwasi television ya Getembe na bayo Getembe FM karibu akartugo chaka job
biamono oyo mkata enok boigo Brian saginera bna tikiro kwana bono nigo tore set tore ready ase ogochia okwanira na bene no mawaziri oterete Chisemi me Kenya waziri Julius Migos ngakinera abantu bagatebirenga migosi esegie kabasana bagatari wenda ko Migos kolene nayo wenda gotonekeria Migos use Migosi tigo tugore nimbya mono waziri asogo twara chingaki goikaransa sege kareke lindo kwanero mugusibwe nsi asabeta abantu abonsi abagusina bakurigereria chi television chonsi na bagotegerera chi radio station cheke gusikira sorongoro nasenge cyo waziri ndaisego kwari bagari tanga nikegima elindo kwani omurigereria nabo igwa bategereria asibale oire chinga kichabe ko kwani for the first time because we are doing this for the first time ngesagwa chore tukomo waziri ni baganelia waziri.
Asante sana Job, asante sana Brian, asante sana Enoch. Ninde no moko sana kobana inuga igarero na ende ngireli bageri ukwani abantu bamintu bonse bagusi na kobatebinga na rodre buya ochaga iga ase station chitu chagusi ukwana no mugusi elio nyare kwereria abantu baito bonse nyare correspond uchasa maswali mubwate wetera sensemo education challenges chirimoro chirororo mberese bune serikali nkegendrete gukora ku make sure ng'abana baito mbagendrete gosoma skuru Kenya ngima na gusiya ito igo ninde ready okore gasi yeye ninde ready kugamba nainu rero ninde ready gujibwa maswali nonsi elinde elio munyare kumanya ingitogendrete gukora kaitwa rure kaitore kaitugochia elinde tutarire amo so ninde mogo sana kobaga igarero abancha bategereri tukwana nainwe na bakwaniri amaiga mange mbiamono
biamono waziri unamo igore no waziri Julius Migos Ogamba wakili uyo obeira se ekeruge kase ogakinkagere to mwako kareko era waziri ninto chukwana mangana mange buna ba minto babiri bagokwana ntokwana mangana university funding model ntokwana mangana capitation na UR3 mangana abire kago kwano wanga chibesa mara cha keigwe serikali atanga ya chibesa na wachiri buna chigwenete koba abantu baramanya mangana y'Chisemi nabo ge wizara y'Chisemi unegendrete ko enekia ase entunde ntanga ni waziri kwa bira abisi asige kakyo mwako yom linki wa koromo gusiara isagote banga waziri gesaba ebinte byago kwana mayano bikorre. You can tell us some of the things wa korre for the period kwa bira ase wizara y'Chisemi.
Thank you Job. Una mumanyete ona chole tugo so ase kroe ko mutinyu 8 2024 ekara na chole tugo so bisi ona nyolete changamoto chungu nzima ase sector education egente getanga ni kyang welcome ti negendo ye strike inchi alengo cha takere ko bachanat strike cha kupet strike cha wasu strike cha kusu na kudhea koru primary secondary pake university paka abana be university mbategete ko na strike so egente tanga na korete no kugamba ne union kugamba na balimu kugamba ne lecturer koberesa nga ikiagera eri yarenge third term keresa abandu banati nga twisi kogende strike kuchu affect tura abana bali guchokora amatemu ya form 4 abana bali gucha kumove ku grade 8 gucha grade 9 abana bali bandi bakora amatemu abo kuri class ya kama kwende kende tukanegotiate na borobwo paka tukaiwana obokongu babwate tukanyora a solution tukaprepare tuikurunga return to work formula baganjira na kwira negasi ekera bune serikali mtu anyorete solution ye problem ya babwate problem kwanza babwate nene nelinga CBA yabo konyora ya taniri amagana arengo tanya gutimizwa tuganjira na magana yatimizwe na nekibesi kyarengo rocha takire bakanwe bagakanwe chindenke echinde tugachi spread koru 2024 uchi myaka yendere mutwe ko make sure ngebese ineroro na nimagendere wakanwa problem ende babwate nelinga chi CBA chiabo collective bargaining agreements echiare ko negotiated at the end of their cycle yani ekara myaka eri yarire nali bagocha ko negotiate gochimagega tali gochimutwe unono nanyorete CBA yabo ya 2017 to 2021 konyora njanya ko completed ya 2021 to 2025 it had also not been completed so tukanjira nanga ngo solve tole tukajisolve na tukaiwana nga uchimotwe CBAs echiko negotiated at the beginning of their cycle nkarwe directive nga CBA collective bargaining agreements cha balimu collective bargaining agreements each lecturer chibe negotiated at the beginning of their cycle na kimwarorera mutinyoria a bargaining agreement CBA ya NAT ya KUPPET ya 2025-2029 mba negotiate in 2025 wakasign so that is something that we have achieved now ntumanye tenga chiwe sirenga chitakiro mwaka oyo irenga chitakire next year paka 2029 iye ko make it easy for serikali kubanga na go budget towards the future not backwards kiagera karamo ko negotiate backwards eko very difficult to get the money to pay so ini achievement ya mo job tu akolire tu anyorire ase ko ensure na balimu baito bari in classroom ili abana baito banyora amasomo bunatakire kara tu agenda ase sector ya university it had also the same problems chi bargaining agreement chabo chitanya go side pension funds chabo chitaiyo echinde chiasirite on the way chi problem cha promotions chabo chitaro korburonge problems babwate chinde cha retirement age chitanya ko was dealt with tukaikaranza na borobu kyara na banda basomo tugamba na borobu tukaiwana tukaanza kusolve chi problem ichi chabo chonse tukarosi return to work formula lakini mwarochirete university buna moi konyora yakure kabisa konyora nyorobo kongu putanya gororekana abana babire university elia barenge gosoma emyaka 9 instead of course ikwere emyaka 6 yaire emyaka 9 yare kwere emyaka 3 yaire emyaka 7 abana babire depressed abana konyora banzira commit suicide so ikato bidding ato negotiate enshurenga chi university cheito abalu batire asekrasi so tuka negotiate na nechi team echicheito tukaiwana nganonya going forward etuko agree etuko chemesa twagamba a problem era tokero une serikali tu solve so we solved those issues we came up with a long term program yogo deal na mangana pension chabo we came up with the issues cha retirement age tukaya set abantu bande bakorita at 65 around 70 around 79 depending on the level of level of your professional career that you are in. Kuna wana chi senior lecturer, chi professor in some universities, they are now retiring at 79. So we resourced and we sorted out the problem yonsi ya rengoro eliyo chi lecturer chitigare a classroom. Kabo igo ekagera university again muna moi bakanyara ko graduate abana bari konyora bakwamire university. The first batch ikawa graduated in November 2024. the second batch wali balinga ba medicine konyarwa kwa mira abandi balinga almost 10 years bakagraduate mutinyo gatatu omwaka uyu iyagerete bono to make it possible abana wa apply ko ende university ya Moi abansi toko admitted abandi bansi ko admitted mutinyo uyu tarehe 20 on Wednesday this week babera admitted bagenderete ko endera okora amasomo so ikinigendo kende to achieve in primary in secondary schools monyorete kara tu asoete gasi problem ya lengoro ya domiciling of junior school in primary schools a challenge ya lengoro timwende yaro tebangananga junior school baba domiciled as a senior school as secondary lakini ekara serikali ya chite into power our president his excellency the president Dr. William Samoei Ruto now he set up a task force a presidential task force which went throughout the country bakanyora submissions kurukira abantu bagateba including parents ingabate junior school ever domiciled in primary schools. Now a challenge kamenya kobanga in these primary schools facilities in chiyo chisaidne abana aba kuchakoberoro so ekaranso etenyo the grade 8 in 2024 mbata gere kumove go grade 9 in 2025 January elinso etobisi August a challenge ye gaza in September to confirm because the presidential working party our Kenya batebetena abana abakera nabake babe domiciled in primary schools so ikato bidding awikabono torosi classrooms chisaine aba bana ba grade 8 gocha kumove gochi grade 9 in the primary schools tukachane program after assessment koletwe tukanyoranga we require at least 16,000 classrooms eli grade 9 inyar kumove gochi grade 8 inyar kumove gochi grade 9 in the primary schools so tukanyora chibesa ko World Bank tukachane structure a strategy okwa check these classrooms in the shortest possible time. Ne structure tu achitina erone linga tukakora assessment tukanyora kile classroom yo cost 1 million. So tukateba if a school requires 2 classrooms tukatumira 2 million bagacha classrooms we decentralized the procurement and the construction of those classrooms. So ikamenya kwa possible krato anstukwaga those classrooms in October 2024. We managed to do the classrooms by March 2025. We had already done 18,000 classrooms. The 16,000 which the ministry was doing, and there is another 7,000 that Chiado Koru in conjunction with CDF. So that we combined together by May this year, we had done 23,000 classrooms to cover the classroom requirements for grade 9. So in achievement ya mtu manage it because by January kara toko admit abana bakuru grade 8 bache grade 9 we had already done over 14,000 classrooms. So it was possible to admit abana. By March we had done 18,000, by May we are already at 23,000 and we've continued to ensure that facilities that is what enabled a transition ilikuru grade 8 go to grade 9 ikaba seamless abana baitu wasoa a classroom. That's another achievement we did. In that same October, in order for the transition to take place, we were required to do 9.9 million books, textbooks, because ya sheria watawanga kero mwana in the core subjects ya kara atokina wate a textbook agosomera. So we also managed to publish and distribute the 9.9 million books by December 15th of 2024, so that ekera abana bago cha January bagatoke ebitau biribya mbikole mbiror. Another achievement, Job and Brian and my brother Mkate, is the exams. I came in and we were supposed to do the KCSE exams 2024. Kuna mumanyete amatuka mange usiinko nyakora guyarenge bicharanga amangana amatemu tali okorugoronge. In fact, if you recall, abantu bariko and station une inuga montoteba ku Nairobi ngonye gutageto mwana agende university notamwira skuru neo simwire gusi kera bari kora gusinga gusinko ibara matemo unancho rega ngacha gusi mutinyu komi around October nkamiti chi principal chitu cha gusi ngabatebye iliegere tokonye ilietaliito tiga tubwaterane abana baitu bakora matemu makosa andita baso kora tabasotoka abalimu bakanyuwera naende bagancha tukabwaterana abalimu chi principal the teachers themselves abantu ba interior ngao the team tukabwaterana iliekera matemu ali twakorete 2024 in Kisii malpractice ende nyakoraki njatoka ikagera matemu kera twayasoki in January amatemu atoka aliaramaya paka muntu ndite yo complaint thinga gusi this time ni nja ipeta matemu sa matemu agusina wate di malpractice across the country. We managed to ensure that we have released results chiri abana wale entitled to. That is why Brian, that is why chiskuru nchire chitanya gutuma mwana uchiye university in 2024 for the first time. There are schools chitumeta abana uchiye university because amatemu akoletu genuinely. So that's another achievement, and there are many more. I can go through so many others. But thank you.
serikali mwabatugutere sana matana masaya aba morali gari boya bakatana itu idisa kwa abantu na muraba tumedi waziri karwa tabanga ile biga mwabiso birivyonsipi does it mean mo biso dinero otara get point nga mwabiro mwabikolere was there is a miscommunication from your side na bako kocha.
And thank you for that. I remember I saw that the lady came and spoke. Amangana ya medical cover ya balimu igare handled na TSC. So there is a cover that TSC enters into the private insurer provider to provide medical services for the teachers. And the teachers are not at the same level, each one of them. So the structure is different. They are graduated. So I do not have the data or the facts that she was talking about. And remember also, we have SHA that has come in and other medical services that the government provides even under the Ministry of Manpower. So I don't know exactly what it is that she was complaining about. But I'm saying in our negotiations, with that, the issues raised at that point, we dealt with them and we said how they are supposed to be. For example, if it is medical cover, whatever, then we would say medical cover ever provided na TSC in the same way that they have been doing. So you know, for Korean Koruaigas SMA yaito onya tuakore tuagambire tuakode. Wali wachi implement. Maybe she was talking about the implementation. So implementation might be having some challenges, but once you determine a challenge here or as implementation, so that is exactly what I was saying, Brian.
Was it one of the challenges that is no specific medical cover for them? She was questioning why we have medical cover in South Africa, why we not having medical cover.
And that's what now where Brian Ningaki into a keratoco negotiating a Mubasco and strike because of medical cover, whatever medical cover will be provided. Provided, that is implementation, is an operational issue. Whether they are going to do it one, whether they are going to do it another one under SHA, whether they are going to do it as a joint venture, in a manner and implementation. So, and I can't answer specifically because I don't have the issue. The specific issue at the core is but teachers are entitled to a medical cover. That is the global position. How it is done or how the TSC is implementing it, what is the challenge? Only challenge, the next issue, another negotiation, then you deal with it on your onye tili operational, but it is there. Medical cover is available for the teacher. They are supposed to have. Yeah.
Thank you. Waziri, by this bado tukiwa tukiata kwa sama rali temigro ya boro na baga bakuri gas which school nation university. Boro chebo igo ntoro chebo igo omo secretary general go marali gete wasu ose university academic staff union Constantine Wensonga. Na so tu wanga na ku anere kwa ya kwa sana kwa there is no way mote tenga chi professor chi school chi ko butu ose chi ganda ka something of that kind. Tumayeti waziri on this na kare.
Yeah, thank you for that. Also, again, the Q Professor Wesonga whatever is part of the solution to provide the say amangana yo ko ensure sustainability as university. Let me roll back, and I'll take again Moi as an example. A problem, for example, Moi buate they overemployed. Yani bakalika abantu baetaniti abana bali babona to support. Okay. Karabali kawa ante karatuakora analysis tukanyoramba buate overemployment ya bantu baetaneti 1300. Moi's payroll is at 450 million per month. Mbali konyara because they have overemployed. So one of the sustainability strategies is to slowly and progressively retrench those workers. With payment, of course, under the retrenched, like that. So what he was talking about is that you can move us but by law, retrenchment is not allowed because toko tuaraba anto tanyar kolin. Yani toko ndenga
excuse.
Likaba antel fumbiri, lakini tubu atibeso korak okobakana. So it's actually rationalization.
Yeah.
So that you are, for example, iga this land. Ora nyoro utakere kwa kulika abantu bako kuna chobo nyansi maybe abantu babiri. Obako nya abantu babiri kire bako na chobo nyansi obo obali abantu 15. So iminete abantu 13 gastiyo bako karaki. Mbali kire lakini gastiyo bako.
Okay.
Wano mo nde imbatiko bagender. So you know kera wocha kwa nyole problem. You first solve the problem. The problem weliro you deal with it gitangani. Oiso guteba ngari no tete kumanyanga abantu bali getu was in 2000 kera bali getu.
Yeah.
Wono ngisikwira nanga I'm spending 7 hours per day kumanyanga ingo bali gete. Instead of solving a problem, think solve that problem. And you know the history of these universities. You could tell. And university and all that. You know those things. But now that problem is what we are holding. It's like the national debt that we have. Yeah, debt previously. Lakini wana kara watch office kwa nyori lideni nikora taki diro ono kuikwa kaneli lideni liuso with karasanga na abantu balyo tekumenya kiba buri to sink chakorete to move a country will collapse. So that is what we are doing. What we are doing in the ministry. Again to talk as a ministry. We are solving problem buna chokora na chigocha. Buna kanyole problem kuikaransa ni timu yani to boli nga kitoko solve problem we egera togendre which mutu magana yago chimagega acha corona bantu bandi go si institution chinde chikora chiro
waziri gwatebire ngam akaro mwagachire birasibi mwabibekire mwabaira abana abaige bitabo CBC computer based competence based competence tali gosoma gwoka oyo le likanika abalikanika oyo le pilot and abekutia bone bitabo byoka mwabaire competence gayera.
Yes, thank you for that question. I think competence-based education means we combine both amaso mariara academic theory ne talent yobwate. Not necessarily that's a completely different thing in technical colleges and TVETs. You start you start from grade 6, 7, 8, na previously from grade 4, 5 and all that. Buno mwana kunya wasomali klasi nkororole nga yale talented towards. Buno bona bakonyo mwana ubwate interest mono as a music. Yeah. So you guide and you help that child to konyora yani kugrow talent yeli kakendete kusoma. So that by the time ako chokole school isi kutoka nga interest ya awere mono cha say music aba allowed kugendera ini ya music. That is why kerokuru grade 9 okwenda grade 10 we have 3 pathways.
Yeah.
We have STEM, which is science based. We have social sciences, they will go that line, and we have arts and sports, which is the 3rd pathway.
Yes.
So that by the time mwana kurubono abago chora chi school grade 9, abago chora towards interest other than the education. Remember 844, there was nothing like that computer based.
Oh, yes.
844 was you read, you do wasoma, wakorerwa matemo. Ese kutoka ngari tukuli kuchokora matemo. You had a stomachache kwa rualet. Wokogwa mangana aya korre aherere gabo. Lakini competence based even tibyo ko soma grade 8, grade 7, 8 and 9 ebi bwata 40%.
Okay.
So by the time you assessment yoga in the grade 10, you have already 40%. You've been assessed 40%. Grade 10 in November, you are 60%. Meaning that you must have 7, 8, and 9, tell you West. Lakini before, in other 844, whatever you did in class, so competence based is wider and takes into account many other things. So that they can just one line, assessment, 844, disadvantages to our hand to certain talents. So I can move to these pathways. That is why in this October, build 1,600 labs. 1,600 labs to ensure abana bako and STEM eskuru bako genda nebwate chi lab chisaine barabosoma science. So we are providing the facilities. That's why we are doing academies, these sports academies, chibwate stadiums, so that abantu wote tokora sports pato kampo the facilities open. That is why if you listen to our speech and request in Sagana on Saturday when we were there with the president, we asked that because one to answer a pathway ya arts, creative arts and sports, to be allowed to a National Academy of Arts and Music. So that you talk about Kora, but maybe a university, a major in music or something, and the academy, they are able to continue ensuring a talent they are very commercialized. So these pathways have widened. They have widened the chances, the opportunities of our children instead of limiting them to one side. That's what competency-based is about. So the books that we gave is accordance to the subjects that they were doing.
Thank you, Ekaro, for correct my job again. As a event TV, una bono chiskuru chinyinge. Get na renda as event TV nge bikorgu na bana baito. Besivete echiro. Bako na kwanda kwa usachi chiro gaiga. Tindara una bono as a chiskuru chiri as a CBC. Oserende no na bible bando atanga. Doranyora facilities chumwana nyato watebe imbiroro. Of course ngo chabali babu sachi chiro chiga iga ngobarra tole endo cover tole news. Ande no koni chinyeni chiri konyororo besibete babingi muna bangina bakoni no kuruga bale at least chindagira chiri gwe tabe bole ba complain nga chingo chiatori kuruga na kiyakoba. Lakini the science now part of it because we need these labs. Uchibona sababu chikanda they are going to national schools chibwata chilab already lakini chibona cha junior secondary. We've not seen those labs like doing chiko work.
Yeah, what again to talk no ensure we mapped the country.
Yes.
So chiskuru nchire konyara chitabwate those labs, chitabwate those facilities. We've done virtual labs. We have done mobile labs by the equipment, the SEPU, our school equipment program. They do mobile labs chiacha into those schools. And we have also combined labs, for example, junior school kera, senior school kera, next, onye lab keroro, abana na wako endoro wako raki basoma. But moving to now, grade 10, where we are going to have pure STEM, we are providing those labs. It's 1,600 labs tochi okora. Mapping ya korwa igatoka chiskuru chirichira or abana wako chakwenda chitabu at those labs, and we are doing them from this October, and they'll be ready in December. So by January, kara abana wako ende school etoke mbakoleta baror. In Kisii and Nyamira, out of the 1,600 labs, we'll be doing 47. In Kisii and Nyamira, we have mapped school. They'll have 47 of them being done. And I forgot to tell you that out of the many classrooms that were done, the 23,000, many others were done in our schools here to make sure now facilities. So what is happening is this, Mkate.
Yes.
We are in a transition because these reforms which talk about CBC started in 2012. That's when they started doing this program. The first batch, I was in 2017, I was in grade 1. I was in grade 9 today. So it has been there, and we are still in the transition because it was a transition near university in 2029. So we are still in the middle, and as we are doing, we are navigating and steadying the boat. Yeah, steadying the boat so that because it's a program to Arosia, we get to all those teething problems as you move on. We steady the boat so that we ensure are disadvantaged in any way. So we are doing everything possible. Now telling Aki, maybe let's say 2024. If somebody told you scrap this CBC, scrap this program, but replace it Naki. A program we can challenge keroro to clean so that we make it better. Because we are still in the middle of it as we are moving. Transition in 2029, university, 3 years, graduate a program we want to have from end to end, which now will be ready for review.
Is this the reason as to why university nyingi entertain to Amadeni? And what have you done from where you sit koena kia university cha Amadeni ko yarali rinde chinyara ko bachikoran bono kawaide kyara chinyinge nchi abakripol bako machikoyunga wano buna moyi wako example konya bata birengo siekwere chinde gaiganga banafunzi babeira abange telikonyara kwe manage. What have you done from where you sit koena kia Amadeni ase university akaire inde chinyara kwegendereria kawaida?
So ase university twa tubwate etubwate public universities yechire 43. Tratogo cha serikali yerete office ya toge university ange 21 ichiarenge almost insolvent. They were even supposed to close. I think in Amadeni. Na Amadeni ayachete because of many factors. One factor nelinga a system ya legotumeka yoko bachi bese chiarege cha capitation ekurunga differentiated unit cost. Serikali yatagere ko achi university a total of 80% of the capitation. Lakini mbali kuikia that 80%. Ebale koru, in fact the last year but one, they gave 38% of the 80% that should have been given. So you can see already a gap ya kodrik ya beiroro. The other thing is this overemployment that I talked about. Universities were not employing in accordance with ekere university eroro ya employ 70% of staff should be academic and 30% non-academic or support staff. In most of the universities, ebabwate 70% non-academic and 30% academic. Ere opposite. Again, to kende governance. There has been a problem of governance as okonyora, misuse of resources, misapplication of resources. Okonyora abantu bali kutumia ebe chipe chirichigocha na chiri bakorosia as A in A in accordance to what. So it's a multiplicity of issues, of problems that led into this problem of debts. That is why the Presidential Working Party analyzed that problem. Realizing I'm talking na DUC, university with the new model is student-centered. A new model is student-centered job, Brian and Mkate, is this, that a student hakane chiwestiria konyara according to their means. Yani ribaga togwa kane rutuensi chiwestire ngaine. Omwana bo boda boda wakane chiwese maybe 20,000. Omwana we minister 20,000. Omwana job 20,000. Omwana wo mwalimu 20,000. Lakini mapato ito are different. So it's a model yenya. Nilio dhangu mwana we minister ta wakaneru 20,000. No mwana we boda boda neraka neru 20,000 na serikali. So tigo mwana we boda boda akaneru chivese nyingi mono na serikali. E minister yakane chivese chia chinyingi serikali yakane chinkasari. So that we can bring some equity and some equality where people can carry their weight. So the student-centered model, the principle is inga omwana bomuntu mutaka otage kwende university. Ta miss ko ende university asinga university ya serikali chabere spread across chakanere paka abantu bote bone tuakane. Anyway, that is the principle. So whatever we do as a ministry, the first thing we ask, omwana oyo serikali chibesire ngewena tukumwakanira at the level ya need yaye egera ta misi ko ende school ta misi ko ende university. So we have worked on the means testing instrument to manyiro identify nga oyo no mwana we minister chibesa bwana to wakanune nechi oyo no mwana bo CEO awene to wakana chibesa gito no mwana bo mure akana chibesa gito so that abantu bakana chibesa chiri bakonyara egere mwana undi we statuka tali university asenginjo tabwatwe besa. That's one thing we have done. So
konyo tubata mangara ringete chibands band yentanga baka band 5 but ukrabona ke report chabere chikone kwa sama tukabanga bakatanga system H band way it's kind of mwanyetika mwatika dedero no mwachire system ende wate a scale of 1 to 100 we 100 uli umuntu umutakapi oyika 1 no muntu obdo mwaziri vunaye omwana bo mwaziri vunaye mweshimwa make us understand ukrabona ka model ke gotumeka asa mangara ringete university
information is correct. What we have done, Brian, is to expand the variables CMTI. I got to identify umonte need this manage band in Chiro. In Chiro. Lakini it's just stretched. So that kero mwana akanechwe siria bwana tako ko kunyara wakana so ta miss no you whether I get up to that point tukakora bintu bibere Brian tukakora analysis tukanyora the cost of programs the actual to analyze tonyore the cost of programs is actual and relevant. That's why recently we were able to reduce the cost of programs by between 15% and 40%. What it means is this, depending on the program, onye program yale cost 1,100, if we reduced it by 15%, one will cost 85,000. Onye yale cost 100,000, onye to reduce it by 40%, it will cost 60,000 to reduce it. So it is much more affordable for many people to be able to pay. But after that reduction, onekera tokora the MTI twateba omwana bo mutaka nero gwakaniru ne serikali chibes nyinge mono omwana bo mutaka I'll give you extremes so that you understand where we are. Omwana bo muntu mutaka yagwakaniru ne serikali 90% of the cost of the program, whichever program it is. 90% of any program kere 100,000 mwana mutaka wakaneru 90%, which is 90,000. A family akanerenga 10,000. So your interest should not be only on the 10,000. Kere serikali wakanere the rest. Omwana bo muntu ole kachiri. Serikali eko mwakanera 30%. The rest nero wakaraki wakana the 70% nero wakaraki nero wakana. So you see where we are going with this, that the person who needs the support most gets the highest support. Now, because of the different programs, and then call the two extremes, the cheapest program, the person who needs the highest support necessary will pay 5,800. The cheapest program in the universities, the person who needs the highest support is 10%, is 5,800. If we're talking about the most expensive program, he'll pay 75,000. So the system has worked in a way that now it is affordable. They have gone to school and they'll be able to pay. It will create sustainability as a university. University will get talking much more because you have economies of scale. Na dropouts. In fact, as we speak, university it's about I think about 5. This week, just the Monday, it's in the Wednesday, Pakalero. As we speak, abana ba admitted in the universities first years. As of today, about get 29,000 and something, almost 30,000. And the report now telling that they are paying their fees smoothly. Meaning, even now with all that system that we have put in place, system is correct, it is working.
Waziri, on the same,
Yes.
Effective as of 1st September. Does it mean our budget university revised the fee structure about make as per
if you recall, my statement was to be ready on 15th of August, which was Friday last week. And the data was ready on that date. Nairobi University was the first one to open on Monday, meaning they only had 2 days over the weekend. That's why there was a bit of confusion on Monday in Nairobi University. Then they sat the whole of Monday, they put the figures in the portals because this thing, Brian, is individual. You can as a portal now, or don't look left or right. We have opened a portal in the help portal website as we appeal so that we solve your problem there. It is individual. It's not a common problem. So that's why in fact, there has not been any appeal to the portal as we speak. Help. Number two, help is releasing money to these universities. But it is not releasing money across the board. Because university, for example, in October, very good. We wait until by October, maybe 2-3 days, upkeep. So because they are opening between now, the last university will be opening in October. But what I want to emphasize, it is individual. You go to your portal, we check. And you know the way we did the MTI, we cross-checked. We cross-checked na KRA, we cross-checked na NTSA, we cross-checked na Nyensha, so that ekarango check danya or a job egari yako ni Mercedes lakini tata yetu wakana school fees kera ata etabe abu mulin so da boto ko bole yaki ngaki akal Quran egari so we are able to cross check. Number 2 ko check tora abana kayu mwana ari gosob job chibesere ngari wakana uchase school way go check tole job abana mbale ngabwate ase university agosob so that you can understand the expenditures how is he spreading them so that we can now tell what he is able to pay. It is very scientific lakini asere atokere epoto nekale nero you appeal there, we look at it. If we doubt, we have now teams changao tugu na butogo chana mpaka puo to chapaka sendo boli chief nini to check engenjeri kwere ndaba kora safari ko ba kora karabata to ko scholarship. They come and check whether you are actually entitled. Wakonyora wati nyumba ili na chikorobaisa tu bate
asikyo waziri ekero tokogendra mwanchu muligereria na motegereria kero twenda tayo na ena boko tuma agwetera ase Facebook cheito digital gose Getembe TV se chi app chitu chonsi pic chiredi chonsi asole TV chonsi asole na na tukonyanyora ertunyara correspond to the same umo waziri ndaito ongera sabno mwaka mbegete dajite nsengo tolecha ekonda mangana na eta skukali ngaya go mwana ninche akobeka ero obeka rujibes nate nchino mwana wo mwasi umwana onyarebere oego gatuka ngabana inu beji waziri nganjire toko kore brand tokora korwa abana beji waziri na bakoegwa funding yerigoro ababande batabwati omwana otebangere funding yere toeresa koranje nekena mangana nyoye talikena toeresa buno muntu uri gali ogotore cha gukore konda umwana wa naite tuchi university
ndiamono mukata serizwali na kinara goteberinga ki system yetu begete eto tayo kumanyanga omwana bo mwaziri tabasa gutukanera kwa guchubesi chinyinge omwana bo mulimi eto kitali kwa guchubesi yale entitled to chiere echo na ki system yekuru ekorusia so that our main focus telinga omwana oli otakere konyole support ya serikali iri iguru onyorire noli bo muwaziri otakere konyola support ya serikali erense kiara isen ombose mama mwabona nyare wakana onyorire iri ayere nse egerebe yatigara iri iguru ababa bale banse babale mina abantu bande bakora banyora. That is what that system is supposed to do. Now mtuma yetenga isigotoko mwana bo muwaziri onyore chibes nyinge maybe muwaziri yoyo nyatari monto orata gotabanga njeni nyare wakana tali gocho wadmitinga umwana ayeno yo muwaziri na bagutiga igo ngati umwana yabere gurugwe lakini concentration yetu no mwana oli otanyare go wakana so na kito creativity appeal portal togotabanga onye kwaro rirenga chibes to akubikire chiri guru to kunyara wakana kiara no muntu bwa mapatanse ore yo mwana uri akwirana ase portal iri ali akore the appeal. There is a form abe korro the reasons why, then we assess to assess it. Sometimes we review it, sometimes we don't. So sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't succeed, where we find maybe it is not true. Lakini we do the very best to make sure mwana takomisi skuru asengenjo mapata abo go see the level of their need. I think, gentlemen, what I want you to understand is that the focus of the government is this person who can't afford to pay so that they are not disadvantaged. And we are doing everything possible to reduce the errors. Everything possible to make sure Antonio error, yani montole ubwenete okonyo ta konye ke kere error ya wait. So we put that appeal, and you can appeal 2-3 times until we get it right. That's what we are doing.
Waziri aseta gatigati ya barimi ikanyora umurimi oyo mogoteba ngabwata abana chibarongo baga apply oyo magasa band 2 oyo dagasa band 5 pale abo peasant farmer anga kiumo ntuno yo akoeresa.
That was before new review that we did. Now, those are the errors to Alkurusi. Lakini one of the errors how it can happen. How it could happen is that abana abakogenda ko apply in the system. The application is the system. You know, you put in data. It is the information you put in that directs you to your level. So if one child goes and says in the portal, mwana yo matebe obuli mubwito buri cheka iko. No yo natebe obuli mubwito buri cheka ibere. Inechi salebale lakini information babekirine ni ngao depending inkiba babeka. So oyo wecheka ikomi because it is higher income ego chiku komeki income ya bebenga ngao no liyo cheka ibere ebenga. That's why those errors were happening. Abande bariko enda cyber go feel the numbers are many. Liba omuntu liwe cyber akobeka the data y'umwana oyocha uchenchili talio yoka. So ilieta lia job rororo lakini data ero ne amigos. So mwana also kabwat kare lebenga ngao because of that error. So when they realize that we realize that mistake tukatuma abantu Huduma centers. Totenga onye tukonyara tulikuwa understand kwa genda Huduma center officers wetu mbarororo ba okonya ku put in the data, the information. They'll ask you questions. Abane mbaro for example na nyole mwana ko genda maybe no musanyo banyo nga kibono ndabe kyo ngokorante be ngantu chisuguli be to bwate usendu ne ko teba ngantu to bwate ngombe and all that to make the wrong information for those things yareta the wrong data.
Nkara sebalia andega tibaranga ineria se program because abe konyareka no montage babwate gali babwate lakini akari ase poto angeneria everything entongere muntu muno yo abakorera guseri chikara ire runa yabekirwa ase ministry.
Bono
umeta ne elio kwirani mwate abankwanda muri mu counter check mwana oyo sokiri no muri mikwa kumakuru semofats bana ne jibarongo bae oyo sokiri and ba sokiri the ministry nengo counter what counter check here.
No, what we do, what I said is that where we ekere keski avere kere matatizo.
Yes.
Usumunta insist more, that's when we'll say, can we really go and check? Because information to buate, maybe 20 acres or something. Lakini you're insisting here chire na information to buate ko KTDA letali audiro ni kek. So that's the time to atebe bano agenda mo check sampling. It's not like we have to go and check kere again. In fact, even in 2024 when this funding model, what so many challenges. When we did the analysis, the errors were at 15%. Oh, yes. They were not that much. And when we did the analysis, only about 7 or 8% were corrected. This year, as I said, we have started admitting what challenges we are going to have in the next 1 month or 2 months is when now we'll know what it is and we'll resolve. And to Makuru last year, so that we reduce the errors this year. So we expanded the variables, we expanded the questions, and we expanded the counter checking, yani the cross checking institutions. We expanded them so that we can get as information as correct as possible or close as possible to, but we know there are still going to be errors. If those errors come, we'll solve them. But our intention is continue improving it, perfect. So
samangana by the way kwara already chi reports nyinga sana especially kura soro ngure tora gusi of course chi region change by quality what challenges but already chi reports nyinga ngamba abanafunzi bali batara ende school bakaboni ga mimi mnako previous nini academic years batara ngenda bado reports cha all over. If the system nabo give the amangana alinge funding model is affordable which is how we nabo kere student centered. What we seeing claims nyinga bado cha wanafunzi chi reports chiko korunga wanafunzi abeka bado mbata getobo konye wanafunzi abeka bado mbara join school wanafunzi abeka government is doing nothing about it.
I can give you an example of I think it was something on Citizen 2 or 3 days ago of Omwanore University at Kisii or some things. I think he's in 4th year. The child who is in 4th year is not using the funding model yet. Is on DUC. Kera we are on the 3rd year. Our now we are 3rd year. So any problem really arengo ya previously. of that old system. Lakini wone kara back over interviewed, they are attaching it to the new funding model, which is wrong. That information is also incorrect. And that's why I've told you, and I can't stop saying it. I'm saying if there's a student, if there's anything that the government is going to do and is going to ensure it is done, onyo mwana karo uro mutaka eserekali bwenete konya, the government will do it. I want you to understand that the government will support that child, that student, to make sure Nare is school. If there was an error, now kumubeka in the wrong position, was come the resources higher, it will be corrected. That's, you know, serikali system, that's not the basis or the principle for the student-centered model. Ikero kutuwan. Mwana tayo no karaba ko highlight. Oiso ko analyze. Oko nyoru mwana ngo tebanga na etire inga nyete ko ngende school go seriru beli aneli achire lakini ndo chinga tiko chakanyara okara wakana. They are not saying only in the wrong band, but even that 5,000 na wako nyoru mundu na wono I have people who have visited Mbantevi mwana atakero wakana 11,000 in their band. 11,000 lakini timbu at that 11,000. So that is something, because university education is free. It's not free, you have to pay something. But the fact thing kwa iru band get kwa utanyare wakana goso no I know you the band 1 year. I am in band 1, I'm supposed to work on 11,000 lakini tingonya. That's a different story from saying that the government has put you in a place or in a position you go fund the education. And I will tell you something. I was in Pwani University the other day. Abana wa Pwani University bachire amo. But in this same pawaka na chiwese and all that, whatever, ntuma ete university education free. Then ntuma ete na wana baroro, our friends, no nyenchiri 5,000. Botanyaro karaki, botanyaro wakana. So they raised 500,000. A university can raise another 500,000. Waka create a bursary as students yabo. Bao tangi ye etugo chokutumia okonya bana bali pa mintu batanyarego wakana nonyen chirichire. They are rightfully in the right place, but they can't pay. Then we pay for them. So when we went there, we said in September, we'll go there and to amend the chuve 10 million. Egeraba to endowment fund ya yabo. Yani, what I'm trying to university education free, buna secondary and primary education. That under the Article 53 as a constitution, it is only basic education here free. Lakini university education, you pay. So the government has come up with a program. Go cover loan, yeah. Go cover in scholarship. Cover loan ya 30%. The scholarship, yeah, it will differ. It will answer 60%, 50%, 40%, and 30%, depending on your career. So that we support you. So already as a kind of way, no free. Na to create a fund to support you and study in the university. But even then, even when you are in the right place, transport. I've received calls in Muranga University. They don't have transport. We are not even talking about fees. They don't have transport. So it is there. Those challenges are there. But that does not mean to remove the responsibility. That responsibility will remain. But we are making it possible. That's why we reduced the cost of programs, so that we can make this thing a little bit affordable, so that as much as we can.
Kidogo tazwishi hapa wanafunzi hawake MTC, which system are they using? Is the same system, or is the same funding model about make ama namna gani?
The challenge hapa wake MTC, you know, they fall under the Ministry of Health, and therefore they are not directly under the Ministry of Education. But as a government, we have ensured that the Ministry of Health chitomu help, so that they be funded from help. Care help never the capacity go to run the system. So that is what is happening. So we get resources from help depending, maybe $1 billion depending on how much it is. It's the same system. Then the ministry, the help funds them or uses their system cover. So they are already in that system. We also want to move it to TTCs so that they have the support they need from government.
There was a directive ya ruta wisi yao igoro ya abarimu abanene be skuru chi secondary koyanana certificates gochia se aboro kigwa bali andagati abayibuli basinyure gwakana chibesa bari tenir this certificate yao for some time. Some have complied abarimu abanene bandi be skuru chine mbali gokorabo. What is the ministry doing koyanakia oyo taliko kuigwa rendo gochikoko
the directive through the ministry certificate is based on law. Under the Kenya National Examinations Act 2013, Section 10, I think Section 10 subsection 1B, it says you should not retain a certificate. That's the basis of that circular. Abange wa comply. Natua ireta abange wa comply. Abande kero ko baboli batara comply wa ngati certificate chira ige chine cha 1975. Banyane mbanya wocha okoraki mbanya wocha kuya. Akini onyo mwalimu karoro utararwe a certificate ya abana retained omwana ise korete complaint nga certificate ya ne retained no mwalimu because after that directive ebago chokugenda court. It's not even a disciplinary action because you are violating the law, so we will just take them to court and charge them. That's what is going to happen. But I have not received so far any student telling me I receive a. But also we have asked our county directors of education to ensure from each school the returns the reasons for retention so that we can move forward from there. So that was substantially complied, and I think it is already working because admitted, they got their result slips immediately and things like that.
Television message my daughter has been denied fully clearance from Moi Girls, Nairobi, as they demand 30K before they clear her.
To the CDE, to the County Director of Education, and it will be acted on, depending on what is the arrangement. Because Moi Girls, you can't know what clearance they are talking about. But if it is the certificate, you can't hold the certificate because of the school fees. Number two, as principals, any agreement no mwana wakana school fees. Agreement there between the school and the parent. So certificate all the what little mwana certificate muntu mungao. That's why we'll easily take them to court and charge them because you are holding a certificate on an agreement muntu mungao.
Opportunity the innocent dying school fees.
That is why that law was passed, so that now you should just enter into an agreement ne parent
Pia mono ekero to goikabo nekertanrete mahojiano ya masemo sinkwana ya masemo na mwaziri Chisemi yensi yetu ya Kenya muska Julius Geust Ogamba na nimanda tuko yategera cross chiredi chao chonsi na se TV chao chonsi chiko kwa nasomo no bwekebusi tukerigalia rero gotoko ya bwata onsi kolengana buna otegete to yakwane nagakora totebe urike wetera asibitandao yaito ye TV osire diyo aso otegerera tukurwo sosonche tukurwa enda somotimo komoke tokoirana kwenda tukurgabo toskana nedake.
eduka yobomo ya Uhuru Superstores Limited nero eduka cholide ilikuwa tukachirangi cha Crown Paints eyuere company nambe yemo eyokorose chirangi mense yiga ya Kenya. Crown Paints nigo emanyira sokoro isya ebintu biria bikomanya seka ngo kwanira chirangi ejo boigo chire chichi brand ao ejo chire chingi ya kirage chirangi chiga nigo chire chibirengo ao punabono mbabwate chirangi cyo gwakwa imeye nyumba isiko ye nyumba chire chikomentera nibwa amavuta yani oil na boigo chiriya chia mache inyuranga chirangi chiga nigo chire korwase chire chiri guririke iriya gatigati wekariguri iriya bantabati boigo imeya Uhuru Superstores nero eduka yuka iyo bwate emixer iyo bwochoganya chirangi wikabunuraganye bwochoganire erangi yiga aseduke yiga ya Uhuru Superstores na bokwege namuna ekale aho watagete nigo kwayanyora bwikirano tutarire rero eriwe nyorere abamanyi aboigo enekenga enyumba yao use asomanyete use chire chibiasara njibwa tokorekana okuya na ayonsi nigo araikirane ekero utumikite chirangi cha Crown Paints eduke yiga ya Uhuru Superstores yego tokase enyumba ya Uhuru Complex imeyumucho yigo musongo eyuerange neduka ya Safaricom mwigo ngotuka bari ase nyumba ya JM Towers eyuere angene bengi ya Credit Bank asamange bakere simgwetera ase chinamba chabo 0111161500 Uhuru Superstores, the people's choice, guaranteed lowest prices. Karibu nyumbani.
Ndagira njane gwansabuna iyero sirine Riziki Caterers. Riziki Caterers ngorobare obukoreri ubuya asichinse mubuna outside catering. Asemeyega buna chinyangi chionse, chi birthday, housewarming, chi anniversary, chi get together, amatanga, corporate events. Kokorabare nankwena nabare obukoreri asichinse muboyego buna decorations, chi ebirogo chimesa chikeke nabo igong kuru barobo koreri bwa public address system yubagotoka mbarabari ne skuru yuboroso ya jogo samange bakresimyase namba 0797119986 Riziki Caterers ubwansu bwendagera.
asemo usenkwana yiga mwaziri tugwe Chisemi na twagotebia nabokana kulika SMS ase namba eyo ye TV yao usirede yao brand sagine toenda sensemende
yakingima homwanchu wale tero na sentune gebro mtum kata tikero tabana boyo mtum job bani go tore live ya masema go Kisii TV na go tore ta TV go tore Getembe TV na go chire dicho yonsi chikora wanegesa FM Kisii FM na go radio vuna ni onyero chega igana kila mtu wika oyo minto kila mtu olega iga tunashukuru sana chinga kechiga tokogenda masemo wika somo waziri amangana manga ya nekigwe sana wikraboni iga principal chinyinge cyarire sana mangana ringete capitation wo cyasi chisukuru twararira bange mbara no last time wika bakagenda bakabunga mapema sana timanye ti andake go ikarabo ni gabone transfer waziri chi principal chiga after chia twaro mo chando yonsi pia after chia rire ndwara no nyuma waziri bori teneta mangana ye ni boge ga sense yake mushimwa John Badi na bega nayo monyene kidogo mwarorekana gutuma nase chingwa na mangana ringete funding go just amangana ringete capitation go just school amangana ringete ine mwana fusi amanta konyara 22,000 usabanta konyara 16,000 mwaziri ntutake sana tumanyia yo na bego tumanyina ki ine amadini yaga ama korale kuro ale kuro magaga gaiga what happens to just school chiga karibu wasi.
Thank you, Brian. First, the bena umwaziri we Chibesa Treasury John Badi and myself as Minister for Education. Enkwana cheto njikola dhiki ncheta ini. Oseri tukeli Enkwana cheto ncha itanete. What John Badi was saying is this. policy ya serikali primary school obakoegu capitation ya 1540. Junior school obakonyora 15,000 and something. Senior school, which is secondary, obakonyora 22,244, something like that. That is the government policy. That is the rate of capitation when it cover released. Lakini asengi encho of 100% transition ya abana which is school. No na uaba wa pesa. Chibe sometimes chigo tomu chirigo ika chiri 22,240. That is what John Buddy was saying. Tale go tebang reduce chibe kuri 22,000 which is 16. Iga tebe so far chibe to release chiri 16,900. Telling to reduce to change the policy. The policy still remains. Senior school 22,240. And that's what we work every day. To work to go towards to chiki no nyobo kongwe chiwe bokole theki bororo.
Now, what happens as you are 16,000? What happens to change
So what happens like now, capitation a year 22,000 na 15,000 na 1,500 when at the school January term 1 50%, term 2 30%, term 3 20%. Bana depending on na chibese nga kichikoruewo kwanyora maybe nchiriko ikachibese chichita kereko karaki koruewa ekara chitaigeti didn't diatoka liatigaira as a school eine conversation ono togo cha gutwara tumenya ngaki togo cha gukora mwana ya madeni ya aitire ali amakoro lakini bune nago tebi ekara nanyoriri muchando uri as ministry uzale as school. I try to solve the problem wili mbwate litangani ne problem ya no iga no tema ko suma nga school at least chinyore the amount iliere as a policy ya 22,000 ya 15,000 ya 1,500 inero mchano no monene ngoti no pono iga ngenda to suma chuma ine nale ngas treasury twakole to mukutano kapate tusume chibese chitoro sinjikoleki nchike 22,000 on next week ngo release to the capitation ya third term torole ngacho karaki chigo cha we request for it torole ngachigo. But remember a system ya serikali once from budgeting parliament to requisition yagenda parliament ya etia yagenda treasury ya it like that so US one chikuru gunchiri chitiri kuru as a budget kuru parliament paka which treasury uchagali so bono igeto enda tukusukuma ekara tugucha tu abaire namba ya abana to budget ili ito ya 22,000. That's my target igina kinge ndonga enda tukusukuma because ekara utaliko ba ebe seri bwenete ekara tuliko nyori ya 22 ngo short chitraba abana konyora tora abana bono mbali konyora maybe chibe sita kere konyora chisukuru chanyora chance kutwara boko. So we are aware of the problem and we are doing something about it. Lakini yero muchando all national all based on the economy ngabese nchikola theki njisa ine kere basket ile chibe stopwate kiro muntu nata chibe skuru kwa kuligere pero tinga irenga toko county irenga toko aba egere kere system ngakole again that is why we have had these problems but with the progressively unatokonya kosume economy expand a problem ingujire koba solved. That's what we are pushing towards.
Rugabo abange biko batwara even rumors tingo nganchire nchiro rumors a little bit batango kraboni gaba nafunzi pale batali asama ngaralengete Kenya education management information system ya Kenya na igo na geko kwiranda ke ni ministry etari konyara go account for all students. Is it karukolire ke ganke be anda ke getango ko garanga chibas chake o school?
Partly there's partly it is true but it is not the major thing. Ekera mukoira abana muko apply abana which treasure you use the number as name is what we have been using previously lakini yatwalire ngo twalira matatizo sometimes yakonyora abana maybe abana balenge maybe 300 one euro ke bale go send 280 or sometimes if it shows abana bale abake it can also show abana bale go. You see, so it's not the exact issue ere challenge ere nga e budget ekora thik they sign but ikaratu anyole problem ikero we have now commissioned the new system ikurunga Kenya Education Information Management System KEMIS yeye it is much more robust ebwata chinguru chinyinge chietane tichane mis I don't know how to put it robust so that to all the information ere skuru ya abana yechibese ya procurement ya kirigento in that system ekere utegete ko manyanga ingigenda that education sector that system will tell you and to create in a way that it counterchecks itself so that onye January tuwata abana totebe 12 million in May we cannot have 11 million or we cannot have 13 million so it should be able to countercheck and tell you a problem for us to correct it at that point. If we had 12 million children, you can't publish it without 9 million was every 13 million. So it is going to link to each other so that we make decisions based on information, based on evidence, based on data. Onye kubwata wana 12 million, to procure endagera ya wana 13 million, for example. We will know a problem narrow. So we'll link this system across so that we are able to see everything that is happening when it is happening. And it will help us. Nonyeji basari. Tabako nyoru mwana nyore basari kuru CDF, nyore basari kuru county, nyore basari kuru isiko. Then there's nowhere to, you can't tell because there's no system. A system is going to pick up the humanoid or nyore basari from this particular places. Because school annual these resources, so the next school benefit. Was a promotion yeyo mwalimu onyo promotion is that was inye was san mwalimu on that so a system is going to work for us to make sure to verify across the board and it is a robust system. It's a bit wide, it's a bit deep, it is a system toroche erato konya as a sector will clean up.
Waziri mbiamona soko ndagotwerego na monoma nyetitali ntokwerera no murigereria ore skali urabo mongi no mogotu urabe ebigori byonsi na singenche yundi naruraga ni address issue ya mangana ekerotora samangana yechibesa chimanyekane na remedial ninki kibwento okorekana gose inchira serichi kuna ndonye chiraro muigori na bonete gochiakana gose ninki abwento oko
chibese chikoro ku remedial chibese chikoro ku some levies chikoba parents bakano they are not there in the law ministry tebuati provisioning awiko akane chibese remedial ose chilevi gete osegete nkeyo again to kero nkeri for example aba ibuli baratebe ngambatete kwa gache dom yabo usimbatete kugole bus yabo bakora umukutano abayibuli bonse in the annual general meeting baetinga intuna abayibuli ntutegete kugurira abana baiteba bus kero umuyibuli natakere wakana shilingi 500 bamenya ku request kucha se ministry nga ntutegete kugure bus and tuaitiri as a resolution of the AGM intutweka abanyene ntutegete kugure bus toeri baga toruchibesichi shilingi 500 ushilingi 1000 gochie skuru kugoreba bus. It is specific. It has to be done now. Parents won't spin annual general meeting. The minutes are done. They are signed. County director of education would be there. Bamanya ku request kuru ministry ngatoe idhini. Toe consent inere legal. Any other thing that anybody is doing, even in Tobia, bitai as a ministry be allowed.
Waziri on the same. Eye tuate tukogore bus abana batori 1,400. Why should that bus be bought for 10 years? Kero abana bagocha mwako wocha aru chiruchiri sato chaitu. Mwako liyo wocha chiru sato chaitu chie bus. Mwako wocha for 10 years. Because 5 years na be kai gogo exaggerating.
Ebono mukato meta abu goikoga in the specific case.
Yes.
Ekiera to tinkumanya ngakibali igete in the minutes.
Yes.
The minutes will be clear. E basi tutakora isuzu ekubuguri abantu amizini igere chibese chinganiga insurance ya ye ngani inganiga nechibese chikara chiri divided across echiganiga gose abana gose ntokuchikora we are buying it mwaka oyom gose to contribute for 2 years gose for 3 years, it depends. So it has to be specific. You go to a specific case to manya we address correctly. But what I'm saying is that where they have agreed to do something specific, then they want what they are supposed to pay, then they request for the approval. Sometimes we don't give the approval, sometimes we give the approval, depending on to analyze the situation. For example, na nyole no nyeba etiti troja bali bana bali nge parents bali ngo 1000 no nyeba etiti onyora ba parents banjira nde bali nge 501 you know. So it is almost 50-50. Abokora igente kenkeli universal. Yeah, kili universal. So our 500 ngo chukumigwa na bokora no will not ikentri go kwa allow. Lakini asabara 100% was 98% na oya abange nabote to correct. So it depends each case kirigiriwa with the fact yakolete kibwate
bagenda GMs nonyora abandi baetiri oja konyonga nayo tagito kurutama na sky ganga
correct. You are very right. Yes. Parents must, you know, parents must be involved in the activities just school.
Yes.
In fact, under CBE, the involvement of parents telling a wikanga bakolekere into mwana uli akora ebwena takunga parent imanye nki mwana akora lero ya nki asoma lero gose nki akora telling you have to do everything. Is you ask nki lero mo egere kwa involved as activities cha bana ndumuna biri kwa kubuli bya community service. We are training a whole person. Amanyenge community na kolete lero is a community service a subject bagenda ali da babusa gose bagenda nyakitali barra what is happening gose bagenda say if there is a dairy farm across bagenda barra inke kolete is an activity to introduce you mwana go to the normal life ile go correct go interact with the character as okay. So this is why CBE is comprehensive. We are calling it a whole person, a 360 person.
Bado your colleague CS Mheshimiwa Mbadi equally na suggest na kwa bunge bandi baga suggest not that we are seeing all these problems ngeko tuara consolidated fund ya banafunzi bonsi ewe korwa Chisemi chigachanga fu yoro yo bisimu women rep rwasi county basari se yora se county mo governor rwasa mangana lingete kitikalia CDF so that nalimo as a ministry ndo tuara chi kapi chigai and is it possible such a thing happen na namna gani?
You know, Brian, anything is possible. In Ekaramu, public participation is possible. But let me explain something. Chipe as a Chico county. A Chico under the constitution. It's provided for under the constitution Mugawolia, Chipe as a Chire county. Chipe as Chire county national government, the word capacity of the Akibagutumia because Nichiav. Chipe as Chira say CDF. Natural chichire constitutional. So what I'm saying is a conversation can be had. Ekara ya very hard abantu bamenya wanchira nanga etutakire bono kubika chibe si chonsi yamo chibe from one kiti air education yabe free or education abantu bonzo banya access to it. And to manyire ngachire. But it is not to imposition on counties nga chibe si chugose ko bunge nga is just CDF. It is a conversation that needs to be had. I get to solve the problem, and it is a good conversation. Yeah, answer. And we're in the middle of amending the law. So if that works, it's a good thing. For example, this year, the control of budget at the county governments, jukumu yabo kwa wanachi chibasari. You cannot do that. A bidding between a Ministry of Education and county governments, we entered into a framework agreement. Yokoba authority kwakandrabana chibasari on behalf of the ministry. Yani kababuna tuwa chinguru bakana. So we signed that framework agreement. Ekawaene bukurushi pesa chibasari wakandrabana because the children are there. They needed to be supported. So we did it. In other words, when a conversation is had, na butokonyora inchira yoko get the correct law in place to ensure achieve a chance speech but you cannot impose. I'll tell you what happened last year. Kera bana bakora matemu realizing that the future is that amatemu ya KCSE ekero mwana achite maybe the child has lost a parent okole subject eli tukolirie kera bwata usarwarete or something ogwe subject yam obwate chi B chi C chi onyore D go say E ya mungusa ko chance oira nansi takonyara ko no ne university because of that one subject which I wait asing nchiyobo kungwa kale teki abwat ngateba tigatoko ngaiti sakula ngateba tigatore te mid-year exam so that you mwana oyo wete subject ye akole mid-year exam in June July egera September unaona abachi pale oso university asoe na borobu tacha kuripiti umwaka umugi macha oso with the other side ndakora a spirited Kenya nyakanda koti akaruna akuru akaja koti gagusi akaiwe court order we are fighting it in court because you realizing your life are very affected because of one subject and because of not of their own making, and it can be corrected, and there's nothing wrong with the problem. So we cannot do things because we'll be stopped. So we are fighting around it. I'm about to public participation, but Humanity Act allows us to give exams and give even repeat exams and supplementary exams and all that, which is our responsibility. So we are fighting that to see prejudice. I did not see any so those are some of the things to course correct. Is there a way to correct it? For example, Brian, you know, sometimes back, kali school. Para tanga tukuere na school linda maisha ya correct. And yet they can come back and do the exams and move on with their life. That changed. So it is possible to change even the change the benefit as opposed to being rigid. There is nobody who is benefiting from that rigidity. So those are the things that we are talking about, and that conversation is good. Joint school funds, whether they are bursaries, presidential, private sector, and that also will work through a system when we are chemists, because we are going to have an entry of everything that is being done under the sector into that space. So you know, all that information needs to be known. So it up to now, for example, kwenda uzinoma be kwanya ro mundu naro section gitu koragiria abantu kwenda kwale kwanya naro serikali nkoragirira aba 2.6 wali in asal areas, lakini wono combined tubwati the data. So we are trying to ensure in the Ministry of Education tutuare clean data tumenye tikirege ntegereka to make a decision you're informed na that data. For example, again, Brian, teachers, you know, TSC abarimu barenga batararikwa abakoenda se data yabo bata ku 1963 twalikira abarimu 900,000 barenga tuligete bale 450,000 barusanani bata abarimu batarikiri bale maybe 300,000 or 400,000, lakini konyororo monto ubwate TSC number, lakini ucheta katika ubwalimu akaenda gukora lo lakini tachite ko delete TSC number ya. So we need to get all this information for sure abalimu balenga bakarethaki batarariko egera to make decision ngakitoko dinabaro to akora analysis. For example, to anyore in Kenya etagita abalimu 35,000 every year, so that nonekara to tanga to admit bona abana guchikora education to admit abana very close to 35,000 ndokubeka education to weka abana 120,000. Then we need only 35,000. We need to be able to make policy decisions based on data and based on information. So this is what we want to do with chemists, so that going forward we look at our sector. Onye tutageta bana ba tutageta banta bange ba agriculture. We ensure nga to let course agriculture to admit abana bangu choro, and if they do not want to join, we can even ensure that we are giving them some motivation, you know, so that they can be able to take that course. Onye na doctors tutakire abang. We should have now a system where we tilt the balance and we ensure we are admitting more of them, and to make the facilities in the universities, doctors to the right number, so that we don't produce graduates whose jobs we do not have or do not need, or the market doesn't need. So we need to study what the market needs and then develop programs across the board that produces the people to fit into those which are say market theory. So that it's not just what mwana kutoka hata tuchokole course get, lakini course ya ndata yako uchakumele toko ukora otanga mwete na kole the course bono nonde gaiga. So we have to do some affirmative action for the courses that we know we need, either in agriculture, in veterinary, in tourism, in medicine, yeah. And the analysis from which sector, from which area, so that we can also control admissions of the new ones who are coming there. Because there's no point to have 300,000 graduates in one sector. Itabu at capacity kwa absorb abana graduated. That is why information and data is so important. So
now that chemistry data chaba na funsi na everybody. How about we krabon ganto no report your auditor general last year chiskuru njoro charing Geust schools. We got non-existent schools, ikaweka ruchivesa, chikatuma ruchivesa and everything. Now that we have chemistry ya wanafunzi, does it mean ndugu atiaro ndokoro kidata ya chiskuru? How does it ekuikabaka serikali atu moja basocha Geust schools?
If you recall, that audit was a 4-year audit, but I think it is from the last 4 years. And when they did it, now when they did it so that they can respond to some of those issues. You see, I said this: if a school does not exist, lakini yatumiru chibese, that is a criminal offense. Then it is so easy to determine whether that school exists and who is responsible for that money. Egara correct? Apuatu. Ngateba igantori go tumabesa which school. Ito go tumachibesa which bank account. Yes school. Money is sent to a bank account. Yes school. Yes school. Now, on your bank account kere case bibosonga. Elietandro maybe Nyamira primary school maybe doesn't exist. Lakini chibesa chiru ikachiru suguno monto a human being. We can so we can sign the document here, we can reflect as a computer signatories. And they can doing if you no. So the day Okorusia on Tuesday, Vunarero, Chitagregated, Navokora Kanami was your correct Oganaga rules. So we need this list. We send it to the DCI, they start from there. They don't even need to start from the schools. Because once you arrest that person, motevia kuirpake skuru asakartek asir. Onyata ukorokia skuru asir, chikot no chikoretek no chiregai. So it is easy to resolve that problem. You see, in any system, tokumis bakorango toka bakorek baro. Lakini wikutu alenjera yoko babuate kero kongu bakorek wabe. So it is doable, and that is exactly what I said in Parliament. Kateva, once we have that list, we'll send it to DCI. To investigate, because in Tuntubu at capacity you could investigate those schools. It's a criminal offense ever investigated with the institutions charged with the investigation, and we'll give the information from our end. Because when you talk to the children, also, there are footprints. So now you go to the chest or get it to get and all that. Again, we work from there and then we connect. Then you will get what the cartel is
For the case of Bomet High School, a year tayo, ya tumulus pasogatra sense ya Tenwek. We Kraboniga, what is the report about that?
That is a simple one. That one is straightforward. When President Yalenko met, aba apakaboling at Ntubu at the Bomet High School, to Agachere School or Bomet High School. The Nwek High School, Ekawa appointed a mentor, Bomet High School, ever in charge of starting that school. That's how the money was sent to the Nwek for the construction and the starting of that school. So it's not a ghost school. The money was not sent to a ghost school. It was sent to start the school. And the minutes are there, everything is there, so they will start working on that. Maybe after a year, they can go back and ask US to make the 50 million. School. So it's not, it was something that was misunderstood. Yeah, but otherwise, that is normal, it is done. A mentor school. For example, even under TVET, Kisii National Polytechnic, nere mentor ya Kiamwasi. So when Kiamwasi was being started, Kisii National Polytechnic for them to pay because it does not exist. So it doesn't have the board, the signatories, so what a mentor institution, the construction of the new school. That is exactly what's happening. It's allowed.
Biamono waziri Julius Migosa soko ndagotore ngenchengabu ni iyo karo togendrete go so asensemo yagatote krondo chera tigere chidaka isa tuiga chirage chinsa isa tuchabona maroba ko ena kiabono niko turachi gutwara ngechidaka 50 gokoro murobiro yo twabere tokoligeria mangana mange aye ministry mangana ye education ya sotenrete bona senseme eye ndagete tuirane nkanga kitokwirana ditangani nimanyete chimese chinyinge cyarikiru ase bitaseni abantu bagendrete koligeria abantu bagendrete ko tegerera nimanyete representatives we station ye chimbarega iga abande mbande tere message iga igerinde to chisoma sobwango ande to gachinga kiye waziri ndaga ni utwale karamke aturaga ni twasoma no ni 15 iga kwaro wachaka go chi address wango yemasemo kandi matine chinyinge kuba gotegererwa sichi station wetani nyeche television nabo igo chinde nyeche chi radio ne chikwesho nabo chirabe chinyinge kurende waziri ekero tugo chigoso sense maybe bitoraso in the next few minutes bono tuira neka muligeri natake kumanya waziri Julius Migos Ogamba mugusi ndirende mugusi okorwa mirobiri kiabwate go chaso mugusi matabona bakebe ngarinde na intune tubwate koruga igoro gongoro chi polytechnic chiabo Kisii National Polytechnic kuna gwa kwanire nchirara ro mirobiri kiobwate yo ku improve chi university kiabonyoro ya chire mirobiri kirara ro konye cha kiaso bwango mono and so many other things chi school ntoro chaba wazi na educate education okoro is one of the dockets chaba kusiba sasa ni nero kiagara ya tora ba waziri abange sana since independence we kabono including the immediate former professor ngeri nalenga se wizari yo akonyo nkana alenga raro bono gusipoka abantu bago judging yekero waziri Migosi alengo school gete ga improve school gete ga so status gete national polytechnic ke kiwango gete mero bir kyobwate na ende bir bikwara korre for the last about 2-3 or rather one year kwa bere abisi.
Thank you. The first and foremost means education. Policy to at the ministry level, she will affect the whole country, but don't go affect the Usi. For example, Ekarana to reduce school fees here university by 15% and 40%. Our using a benefit in that. That is not something Geko Korukando, Naiga Kiloko, Navarungo benefit valley, benefit valley. Chisemi Jones. Amangana ya totebe construction of the classrooms nagotevi. They were not just done in the national government, it was also done in Kisii. For example, and I want to give you some statistics, even the Biagusiga specifically. Ekaratu agacha ebirasi 23,000 junior school classrooms. Aigagusi to agacha 827 of them. 567 in Kisii and 254 in Nyamira. That is almost 1 billion. Out of the 11 billion that we were spending in the whole country, 1 billion was spent in Kisii. Number 2, since independence, Job, Kisii County has had only 2 national schools. Kisii School and Nyabururu. This year, I was able to upgrade, or we were able to upgrade 6 other schools in Kisii County. Cardinal Tunga High School, Rio Kindo Boys, Nduru Boys, Kireli Girls, Itiwo Girls, na Ichuni Girls. How many? 6. But since independence, we only had 2. Now in Kisii County, we have 8. That is something na bumonda thanga kere karokobe ke school ya national chi benefit ne chinyinge chyo kora chigocha wanango chabar kurusiko. You are given more expanded income, you are given more infrastructure, you are given more teachers. There's an advantage. So it is a good thing that we managed to do that. In Nyamira County, previously from 1963, we also had only 2 national schools. That's Nyambalia Boys and Soronga Girls. This year, we added 3. That's Kebirigo Boys, Nyansiongo Boys, and Kebabe Girls, making them 5. So now we have 5 plus 8. Yeah, from 4, we have now 13. That is a very serious improvement milestone for this particular place called Kusieito. Out of the 1,600 labs that we are going to construct, 47 are going to be in this region, 23 in Kisii and 14 in Nyamira. Remember, it is 1,600 out of the 47 counties, but we are doing 47. In Kisii, you can do the math. So that is something that we are also working on. Asikila bara torichiri 1,600 ulikorubeka, 47 ni tocha ukorika korugusi, 23 koru Kisii, na ichinde balance ikoru Nyamira. Na chiri chinde nateba chiskuru to upgrade ligo chi national schools. Ebina biro twakoreke twakorere. Akara na so agali university. Ona nyora ntubu ati vice chancellors. Na manyire na asugumire twalikire babere kumenta wona na bali babere konya bakoretheki baro baikire bane. Ningendrete go pima ndoka. GDVC na beka bekire. Igara aje council na bekira banda bangisana as council university in that sector. Ikegere kero kuba beka na bugwa kire mundesimi kwa motebi nkonyaraba abana. Ali gora se help nere go distribute chigwerende akora kabeko mugusi kokori kwerende.
Ndio waziri kwa
but anyway, we have tried to make sure abantu wetu bakoreki babikirwa sage position baranyare okonyaba abantu ekera unabona abana abaji challenges chikoba nere ngotobinga abana abu baligereri ngakyogo okubasoti ubaligereri ngakyakoba akobanga the higher education loans board to abikiro mondo mentor and many other places. Chisio tobwate to abikira abantu chiboard cha polytechnics na abikire abagusi batalibake era in just this short time makoyo na koriki na the list is quite long. Ndoga ndrete kurwandera abasio bande, ndoga ndrete kurwandera na bavisi bande banyore, ndrete kurwandera chairman kugenda ilinda abantu bitu banyore kera utaspread ati akonyanga kero munda Nairobi nkonyara umuntu nano ko my bus fare airane gocho. But what is important is even the biospi itoranyana ko bikore karatulira serikali na kiagera nkateba litu alenge state house kera ntu aliyenchera tukaanza the early this year ngarangiria leaders bonds bibagusi na professionals tukaendo mugobandi gete Nairobi tukikaransa tukagamba tukubora ninga gusinga kitokora tochiamo egerekera tukurwandira ama tusabe bintu twasabe bintu bwa wangu tuigubwa tukarosia a strategic plan ya 7 years from this year to 2032 from this year to when
2032.
2032 mumbo atabi ekiagera ina arigeri nkatebaiga government si chigo change talibo lakini onye mubu ati program ye ino yo nkore gasi na bintu bigusirira nchira ekeri government system ya change umuntu ndo mwachire mwanya orakiri yakorire kiebiru tugateba toro strategic plan ya 7 years until 2032 toyebeke University of Kisii togoteba nga onye na match ebintu tore bikoru nebi onye na education nebi onye ne chipara nechi egere umuntu na aru obisi onye gotorete kumanyanga ngikonyora tu asugumira asige kire ministry gete kwagende university ya depository Professor Gechino will tell you that to have kaka head of that egere to mwarigererio ronga kaitwa karete kaitwa tigirete why
namaro yo mugusi ya kiama
tari ya kiama this is a development purely development yo mugusi and I'll tell you why ekara sondu murio yari kwa gachu mbata kiri kwa gache dam magwawa nero yatakiri ko ena na mache kuchisondu miru sondu miru yakagache gakorwa development no ere gali magwawa kebo bono muntu yo maitenga magwawa nja alenga se program ya sondu miru lakini onye ndito bate depository ya stock enda twarigereri na twari kwenda otonyore no yakorete ki no ere mekubo iga gosen nakiakoru mekubo ere machoge. There's a big water project there. Ya wena to koruna Hungary for the last 13 years. Yatoke kwa mete somewhere. Kuna tuache teiga nkagama no mumroli wa mache tukaire gente cabinet gaitiwo. Macha bro na chakore na chagachu. Lakini ge kiebetu kiera for a long time munte yo manyitinga mikubo program neroro ebwena thoko. So nkarangeria abantu abetikana to somete tokateba. Tuiso konyore ase library ita sto kubeke bintu hivi so that nigosi na aruo yaja toka ngosukuma arenge skuru gete enyore bese yarikwa samwe kegere gekwebwe kera changes cyakore cyabeire because of that tuganjana nanga tungocha tole amo leaders tochamo nabantu baito bonse egere tokore development na kiya tuteke kera twamite tukaenda state house tare 15 on challenge yes on 15th to the state house kerumonto abantu apoda former leaders current leaders champions aba MCA you know tukatoka tole gari tukateba ngo saba tole bintu ge tukasabe bintu biri twari konyara ko bya bwango tukasabe university ya Nyamira university ya Nyamira yabete touted ku 2016 nali abwena tukwa gacho 2016 igakwama 2023 kara yakwa murwa ekaba allocated chibesa 500 million ya gacho lakini etarachiko kwena chi problem ekabanga ngaya korake yekwa mwako yoka financial year kara ya chibesa jire jigozere rancha ekara nacho le tutare tisa I was sworn in on 9th of August tare 12 tukachane president Kyabonyoro kera tuacha to alego chokoloncha mangana ya Kuwait project issue ya Nyamira University ka arrest president gateba tige university begali and the challenges chinde chikakora chikacha ekera chiacha twacha ko ekora bone kera tuare ngali tugasabanga bado ndo the university ya Nyamira agateba nkuba kubatura so atutumete tochi n'abantu ba defense atanga bono tiga abantu ba jeshi bakoreki agatwa muru na kitwachirite aramisi twarenge Nyamira gari koleta abantu ba jeshi koboroki site na koba site ngabono so in the next maybe 1 month contract dango soere yanze kwa gacho ini achievement ya moto akoreki to imagine ko 2016 ekwamete ne project ya Nyamira University ke 3.9 billion yani no kwa gacha woka abantu bacho kokore gasigari abantu bakoleta match bagina baragiria abantu bakora gari chi materials ni no chikuru gari so we will do it is going to be done tukasaba airstrip tukateba ntu kwa gacha airstrip ya siegetwe already commissioned because there is somebody who said and somebody was getting airport there and go chukwa gachuse asigita ngao Nyamira or something like that. Karaba and go check Nyamira wakanyone ne tente can't work. Adanga kuira tuli nyangusu kuira tuli iga musana noga ugaasa. Ono sunikateyo sirongateyo ono tukaiya tukataba tuira miliye tonya tumia tokoriye bibinde anyege gutoka
motomenda
enga bune gente que tunya gwara nga 2027 ndutola nga karato ikero iya tundeze nkera ati na wanyo no tokorete hoturi lakini ikitubwa wono tugutu karato yesuneka togendera gatetebi agatume chairman gocha nakikera twale ngoro igoroma be chairman ya KE ono bairane baje batume technical team bayigore yansa korosi housing, affordable housing. Kisii movement ndubwatu malem. In fact, we are the #1 candidate ya affordable housing. Chinyomba to iri chiri chinke to because buri mumbu akoretek. Iri ato iri nyanchuga ari chiri chinyomba go 500. Chi count chinde okonyara iri 5,000, 4,000. They needed the land. One of the pieces of land itakiri ni iri prison yebale town igani. To teba tigatu move prison nangu nyanturago. Kero buli mumboro buli 600 acres. Tuba 50 acres, iga igo buli 14 acres. Tuba 50 acres igali, twagache housing iga igeta out. Na a prison ya gachora. Two things will happen. Ti project jiren. Ibere tukoyacha housing iga into konyora a benefit. Na ali rogora tukuira twagache a prison ire modern, twagache pakachipara chiko gendo, twagache school ya bantu ba staff actually clinic, so we develop that place again. It's an extension, is a new project. We'll benefit from it. That's what we were doing again yesterday. No Mugavana Simparat as a unit. Because CBE it was 3 pathways. One of them nearly creative sports, creative arts and sports, which requires sports facilities. Yes. So tugasaba tuagacherue a stadium ire modern iga bosongo as a SK tuganjerana will get $1 billion or $1.5 billion tuagacherue a stadium muri gari alafu ASK ebe moved gochi yatieko as a 13 acres chikoleve chire to SK your it's much larger so we move over 3-4 acres aliba chutwara 13. So again that's development here and development there. Yes. So out of that meeting, tukasabane pare kuru kaplong, ego trimboka tukote eko dual carriageway. Yeah, then to try eko dual carriageway because it might take time. Now toko expand gerega le tu ala nanjira ini very toka endra tukunya or sort that thing. He agreed. One technical teams go jago tombale bakorega see you. So because we went as a united Gusii, we were able to get those things. So that the karatoka tebanga ki etora se serikali is not for nothing that we are there. There is something that we are seeing. Because this year 2025-26 the budget is 4 trillion, 4.2. Next year is another 4 trillion. Recurrent year was 60% and all. We have about 2 trillion even development. Lakini wao ndenga ngamu wezo konyara those 2 trillion because ntobwate a program ya 2027 ne serikali itu atagidenga to where are we looking for this government bora tu aliko ligitonyore tokonyore benefit abantu bali ikwe ya chipara chirosigwe buna wano these constituencies a lot of roads are being done. I can read for you. I have a program here. Many roads have been lined up chiko cha kwagachu chi marketing kwagachu chire bridge une interchange ile daraja mbili, it is being done so that we can benefit from the government, so that we ekarto yani toko tabia bantu wetu nga tubwatisi egeratonyore these things, and you have to go to the table. We come to ende karto arangiri toko ende to tabanga na toko nyoro e opportunity otango mugambi tutagete ko da auto we binde bi komi wateba go bandista usingo bande bitano ibinde to tukano at least wanyorege we can, and it is going to be done. So I'm encouraged with how His Excellency the President is supporting us Even in education, he has supported us fully. Yeah? Everything we ask for, he'll tell us this is how we want to handle it. How to support, guidance, and all that. I want to benefit. Can you imagine? How would I have managed to upgrade the school in 1 year? We have been having only 2 from 1963. And it's not like Tindigo judgment. Ministry into the I'm not judging, but it is there to see. What
Thank you.
Waziri wade unoge ntoko sanga magana yo masebo. Waziri nganjiri ngora numega kidogo tu magana ringete help. Actually the government yana setting what calling help takriban 9.4 billion kule 9.7 wikrawoni getara chitara bwato. What is the status? Karando ja wanafunzi pale bakore maswali sana akeka chipa chetu cha libo igona kimute tamanye school. Yes.
Inakueleza hiyo. Chipa stoko release is for the schools by Guiri. Wano konyaro mwana okopoli nga uchire kuligeria portal yae taranyora bese lakini university yego chako igoro mutinyiko oikomi. That is the discrepancy. So aba bakwigora bono because also
Chawe cha soke.
chibezo metito kora in faces igana chiro chinchikola thiki nchiyo. So we do this aba bakwenda. We have a program. It is actually progressed. It is tied to the opening. It's tied to the opening. Onye naro ro tara or by Guero Taranyora, sometimes it's because of information yarwete incorrect or say a batch was each bank. There's a way the money is sent in batches to their account. So, but those are problems that can be resolved. But 9.7 has been released, and we made sure that the upkeep has been released because Mbako and the school bata work.
Key agendas cho mkato tarabu na koja kaenda. One of the key agendas cho mheshimiwa the president mheshimiwa Daktari William Samoei Ruto chalinga marani the TVET chikos cho moka and everything. We krabo niga TVET ndo cha maswana rako ruga mangana the TVET ya ngo igura chire next week chinde kobo no krabo niga mbabu atiboro kya baisa ina sti skuru chiri. Chiro cho what is the status yichi TVET na bego VTC agency ya Kenya.
Now, amangana TVET are very progressive. It's a very good pillar at the heart of this government and the heart of the president. When Kenya Kwanza came into power in 2022, we had 297,000 trainees in all the TVETs in Kenya. How many? 297,000. Normally, we've been taking to university 20% of the students who graduate to KCSE. Last year we were the highest. We did 28%. Meaning, last year, for example, about 965,000. 28% Pakende University. Meaning about 700,000 students budget bali qualified for the university. KMTC was a TVETs. So nyora a university was 1 million, TVET was 297. Now 1 million is equivalent to 28%, 297 is equivalent to 70%. There was a misnomer. The thing was upside down. So we came up with a program to increase enrollment. So from 2022 to 2024, when I came to the office, they were at 375,000. They had added something like 80,000. So Nkameke program you could raise one hour to 2 million. President Getembe raised this number to 2 million. We started working with the Ngao, the chiefs, Chibarasa, and all that. We've been able to move that number by June this year to 700,000. 700,000. What does that mean? We can enter to. So because of the numbers, we requested to allow Kolika 5,500. He approved a year. What is we are working on now on a budget. We need about 1.2 billion. Our trainees have 5,500. Again, I was in Treasury on Tuesday. I was pushing for that 1.2 so that we can now have trainees to support those students. Because we've done a lot in the TVET sector. We have even changed and increased the programs. We are made to a series such that onyo go to go mason, koleya magenoka. You go to TVET also magenaria for a month or a certification a micro certification for mason ogende okore gazi. If you need to come umanye plastering, you can come back uplaste uirane. We have done modular, yeah, so that you can come in and out, so that you can fit ndoko veke a college kore mason nege songo togo somi umwako mugima to you are not earning. So to achinchiringa, can you come in work or maybe no mondo that etuki. You know, you just come in, you cannot be a classroom kolan going for a year. Yeah. So we have changed it to a research policy ya monero ko RPL, recognition of prior learning. Abantu baroko nyale mechanic miasana lakini tabwati karatasi. Wono ne karata kiriko kuri kusamwe yago se kwa we gasi go se promotion ta kwa ukirda bwati karatasi. Wona hago che college itu twa test twa mwa certificate ko rukunga recognition of prior learning also abono the formal economy. To aletri ngento ko rukunga dual training. Dual training ne linga omwana gasoma 50% of the time in classroom, 50% yogenda se industry. So nye buno nye ndiko ka cholera or something industry lirega also onye food and beverages ogenda industry also onye garo somera totebe hospitality also make rasi half the time ogenda hotel gete also. And we are training everybody now. No na bantu bakulis chombe, no na bao kama, we are training them. No na chia house managers, we are training them so that they are learning na kia wake pass. You know, we are training everybody so that now you have quality. Because a market give us people who can do the jobs for us. So that the skills, what are those skills? So we are doing in that space. Now in Kisii, you know, we have a government policy in each constituency. Etuare a TVET. In Kisii, they are all the constituencies of TVETs except Ponchari na Umachoge Borabu. So we are working on that, and we want to ensure that maybe in the course of this year, but by next year to those colleges, because again of the numbers, it is important. Nyamira, we elevated it. It is now a national polytechnic. So we have Kisii National Polytechnic, and we have Nyamira National Polytechnic. So we are doing something in that space. And I was there yesterday. I found they have very good, very many machines. I advised them on what they have to do. For machine block. Nganyore chibekire nyomba nkabatejiru zugu nyomba chiru ekona maata sa marobali banza ko block wa nelia ba. You know, there is a way that we can do this thing to continue ko benefit from it. Na chiri chitabu ati machines, we are pushing China Korea machines to distribute. Another thing that I'm doing, ekaroko and government institutions, you find chigali chikwete chire packed. You find chimotorbike chikwete chire packed. Oko na nyagita alikuwa nyora machine chikwete chire code. So I have written a paper, cabinet paper, ngosabanga toba allowed as the Ministry of Education under the TVET to to distribute in our institutions those so that they use them. Maybe institution the mechanics, maybe gari AM. So we are doing something in that space to ensure are benefited from it. And as we do national policies, they also trickle down to Kisii. Yeah, they are not isolated. They benefit. But we are also working on even equipment to watch.
Waziri tiga kubuli likongwa kebon.
Yes.
Ono egas.
Yes.
Ekero abana bono tukere ma akatuma go set tukure. Ono egas bi. Dejich.
Our viewers, our listeners, Sarah Mange, will run out of time.
CBC igebwate abanafunzi 40 ose 400 abalimu batatu balimu abakanya bangosomi kuna abalimu balenga banki. What of that? Liyakabere inalili liyabuli ngorengero nanda akiriya semena lini amaruba abana abajumbe baka kale koena na gali na kibono gyachageka.
Good. Yeah. Now under CBC,
yes,
what has happened is because we were in the process to Alengiyoko transition, there are teachers who are graduated trained in CBE. So they are teaching and they have STEM and all that.
Yes.
But we are also having a program tool to be able to teach CBE students. In fact, under this month, August, the retooling was taking place across the board. The government gave 950 million for retooling, and it's been being done from last year, so that now you have enough teachers as we continue increasing. As you know, in the last 18 months, the government employed 76,000 teachers. This coming quarter to December, we are going to employ another 24,000. These 24,000 will largely be science, commit the STEM requirement to bring the number to 100,000. No. Some of the ones that are being done are already trained. They are current graduates in STEM. No. I was in Baringo, TTC. Kabaranet, TTC, we graduated about 300. These 300 are CBC ready. You understand? They are very CBC ready. But when they will be retooled in December so that they are ready to go in January. Currently, they are being retooled as we are talking. There's an amount of money that was given to ensure that retooling is taking place. Over and above that, in junior school, we have enough teachers. In fact, I met some principals yesterday. They told me this. They have 9,000. They have 9,000 JSC students, and they have 300 teachers. Now, when you divide 9,000 by 300, what do you get? You get 1 to 30. You get 30. And that means the ratio of teacher to student is 1 to 30. When the international requirement is 1 to 35, which means we are in between. We are within the numbers. What needs to be done is the realignments, the reallocations, the moving around of teachers so that we have enough teachers in each school. That is the position. Your second question of remember, and I can't give you an answer to that question. Yes. I came in August when this process was going on. So but what I know, TSC does the employment of teachers. It's their mandate, the employment of teachers, and they do advertise. Like now, they've advertised for the 20,000 or the 24,000. People are supposed to apply. They are shortlisted, and then they are employed. So that issue of I can't answer some. You know, my background is low. I have no facts to it. I have no data. I can't answer to it. You'll have to ask that specific person who wrote maybe Maru, yeah.
Bakubatana na baiguna Brian Mutonga na Kakasungura ebinto amabona mangare ga job so we just a few na ragunga kindly may waziri address the issue of those schools that missed capitation with name is Era Masaba South Inova School to 197 learners, of which only 2 learners reflected kindly. That's one of the questions, Job.
Uri waziri umurubiri abwatere na CS Interior Murkomena so gotango goichora of kiosks seeing wines and spirits near institutions of learning. There are bars near schools and even was clubs, yondo boliria nandi lyokoranga ndi boliri sana nabantu abange oyuga bolia seta gaiga kurwa Kisii TV page ya ondo chenga. Ask the CS about Kitutu Church Technical and Vocational College, which has told since 2017 till now. The contractor is on site here. The institution has trainees. What are the plans for such institutions? Inarabe na algeria mokorwa seta yelinde korwa se Kisii TV. Beti mkate ndirira korwa se page ya Getembe.
KMTC. Jabete launch tikaya chit. Lia kabiri mwanafunzi naro ore Nairobi University atabanga government mbegete number 3. You went to work on 44. Lakini yale gago sub 66. You mean ngana number 4 abikiri.
Thank you. Naro kuboli wetra skisi TV kuboli nga kiamwasie contract ya chete kasike skuru ekagana ne bunga motuka amaka etire eyo waziri na
It's the same question.
okay. Abigora ba naro kuruka mwanafunzi ateba akorte cases last year kurase skuru ya St James yon salia abantu ko join na masine muri university kore no ikraboni iga tara go result slip ya kuru skuru nga nonye directive ya ruru abantu ko join on 28 masine muri university kobono tabuga tibinto bitakeire.
Inaendelea Mheshimiwa Waziri, during Uhuru regime, NHIF for students in secondary was fully paid by the government. Does the current government have such plans with SHA to help students in secondary schools?
Okay.
Thank you.
So quickly, the missing capitation in the challenge ya NEMIS, like I've said, this particular issue was being addressed, lakini currently they must try and ensure wana variable atembare inside the NEMIS so that you are able to the next capitation. So it's important that he does that, and if he has a problem, he can reach out very quickly, even manually, to the ministry, are assisted. Points and spirits, it is true that the Ministry of Interior is working towards ensuring close to the schools. It is so we are working with them to ensure either the licenses was moved, but they are working on it. We have made that request that we don't want wines and spirits or bars near the schools. The Kitutu Church TVET, I actually talked about it. It is one of the TVETs that needs to be completed. It has not been completed. Take care of what happened. Ever alikuwa acha a TVET with a specific amount. Bakameokore variation. Kama kore variation, TVET chigaetani chichi chibwena toko wakanwa. And remember now tena kere institution ikwa wache mentane Kenya Kisii National Polytechnic. Now Kisii National Polytechnic teko sababese kose akane unless your body ya Kisii National Polytechnic verifying variation ya correct ne legitimate and ya correct. So last week the current principal and the board actually went to Kiamwasi for checking what has happened. They are supposed to meet next week. Pamanya to report back confirm that variation for the payment to be done. The money is actually there. Payment until those processes are done, because it was a variation, it is out of the figures. Even okay, KMTC timpu at data, your information this falls under the Ministry of Health, but I can find out what is happening, and maybe through you guys I can let you have that information. Pass over what happened to it and all that. One of the in the Wakana 44 instead of 66. These are the ones I was saying. If that is the position, let him go back to the portal. I indicate why they think they should be paying that. That is like an appeal. So we look at it and correct it for him. If we find that the case is deserving, to go change. KSC result slip. And then say the county director of education or the sub-county director of education, that issue will be followed up and they will get the result slip, because when I cover detained at all. NHIF and SHA. You know the current SHA, students are beneficiaries of the parents or the guardians. So guardians say when they register a student beneficiary, so automatically over covered based on the principal, the anchor person or the principal of the parents. So they just need to confirm the parents registered. In fact, last year when we were dealing with SHA, early this year, we did issue a circular to parents to register and make sure all your beneficiaries on it. So the father rights and all that. If there are any challenges, we just raise this issue, then we'll deal with it at higher level. But otherwise, under SHA, all the relatives or your children are registered under you as beneficiaries, and you still get the treatment, because there are no special different hospitals for students and for the public. It's the same thing. So it works the same way.
ase ekera ndochirireria chakire gochenchiga bono goika tochi twayiririe gokoro murobiri ochideka tubata chinke sana nimaete Brian anchete siasa sana agokembete sana akuburia magana two time na one time kolendenche egendo nagocha kuburi ndoche is one obeire ondikire inbox yane koranga igari asisumbugete biragereri sana nga diga unit Kisii campus September last year paid fees only to be told there will be no classes and no directive was given. I tried to request for a refund, of which many attempts failed. Every office I went to, they always turned me left, right, and center, and that's how I lost my 50,000. I've never healed from this. Kisii was one of the campuses I never expected I could get such kind of a treatment.
Mandera balimu na banafunzi wali bakosoma
hardship ngaki
ani yalima agatebanga bana bali bakosoma Chisemi obunachiria kuruga ekaro moko capitation moko va fund Chisemi obuneli ko consider mole nandu bakurwa guchia.
Okay,
ono
confirm walimu ba
yes
balimu aba bali ba contract.
Okay, I'll deal with those
yes.
confirmation of teachers.
Yes.
So, first one, Kisii campus paid 50, no classes. That is a strange thing. No classes, how? So, this is a special case that needs to be dealt with. Gekoru, maybe again the university or VC. I can book an appointment for it because it's not possible if you are paid fees. Bonekarat classes did not go on, or he was not allowed to attend classes. Yes.
Kisii main campus, what happened? Kisii campus for those students who applied for certificate and diploma courses.
Oh, so you need. I have no data on that. They just need to go there and find out. Now, I'll ask the VC to address this if they can come through you so that it is sorted out. Because once you pay, if there are no classes and for sure you did not attend, I'm sure that the refund can be done. Hardship. The way we do capitation is not based from Asukuru. We do capitation as Sukuru. We just use the numbers as Sukuru. And whether you are in Northeastern or in Kisii, if you are in secondary, capitation is 22,000. On your call primary is 1,500. On your call JSS is 15,000. There's no hardship is dealt with separately in other spaces, like for teachers and all that. On confirmation, one of the reasons why Kupet went on strike last year when I came is because they had 46,000 teachers, but Agete cover confirmed. To confirmed January, wakambika pressure sana abgati inbox ya nega ichora sana. They visited me quite a bit, but they were eventually confirmed. So confirmation is based on availability of budget. So I will need to go to TSC and find out the budget nero yo confirm balibale in the contracts that are coming to the end. But what I think is going to happen is that the budget will be looked for. Yeah.
Chinga kindo chembara ya chire sana na boigo ntote tio tueru kidogo ine wekraboni gali ogendere sana sorongo rabusi Kenya ingimara kila mahali woni ga wange kusige bata banga it's a new term for mheshimiwa former interior CS Fred Matiang'i ine mheshimiwa wakili Migoso Ogamba ayensa dikito kwa nyanyar porwase ngombe yewe nka yobere ta mo are you one term new term ama namna gani
Brian?
Yes sir.
This word buronge.
Go support
Nagora ambolinga which side inde Korucha said. I've told you from before that serikali today is doing development for us. You would be mad to say okay ndasa ngao utiga sekole as serikali. So to ask me that question is actually not courteous. I think what you should be asking me,
public demand.
What you should be asking me is how we are going to do development in Kisii for the next 7 years in the Ruto administration. And let me tell you, I've also been a politician. To win elections is not easy. na atemire chikura na nya gokora mumai no last time I was running no muskoli olenge my predecessor I was his DG. We didn't win, we lost here, and by the way mtu alikuwa koba in the cabinet, we were running koba governor na deputy governor tayo mheshimiwa Ruto akaranga kutwamnyo kama ono twaswetitiga atubeke in cabinet oyo makora 2.5 oyo ndakora 2.5 twarenga murendo so that at least kero muntu test rege again because mtu alikuwa kobaga ni kwa area yake. Na kwa hiyo mimi nasema asante sana. I am very very thankful and grateful for that position. Number two, I'm coming to it. Number 2, ekaratu aloko karachukura 2022. We were underrated. That will not win. That Ruto will not win. In fact, we suffered here. No ndege kuland, it could not land. Helicopter, we suffered. But we still won. What I'm saying, etora Europa ka 2032, ingoro bono, utarengo. Ngoro. Tindo jone. Ande, kubarengo bonsi, tutadil now the way we dealt with them that time. We'll deal with them the same way. I have no doubt. That's why kwenye kubatenga tika tuibange, toso ase serikali ime, tonyora magenderero, paka 2032. Tindo tanga muntu to teme, no ini tuntu ateme. You will in, but it is no guaranteed. So I say guaranteed. Ngakindaruo. I can't. Anonde paka mwisho. And I'll do everything possible in Kisii and Nyamira to make sure that we get the right numbers for our team. We will work day and night. We katore tamagender toboroki. For example, I have told you we are going to employ another 24,000 teachers. Some of them will be from Kisii, Tualetire University, Tualetire na upgrade rechi school, na letire chi TVET. Chipara nkorosi uchiru mukubwa nkorosi ya chipara. Ama chingo chari. Fertilizer nja aretwa, rono igenda garana kore nero we reduced fertilizer, there is food now on the table. We are doing ICT hubs. Abana waitumbacho wanya the 70,000 shillings from each constituency, about 100 young people. What are you going to tell us? Tutara kora, ilo denga nanga muaruo nchinkore. Nki, kero. There's nothing. So by 2027, I will ask you, abantu itabakusi, utumakiria matem. Utenga ki, abana bachire grade 10. Abana ngosoma bare school. Tuakura mangane funding model. Shango korere gas. Chiparanchiror. Amhachinaror. You know, you cannot win with slogans. Slogans are easy. You go to a funeral, you talk slogans. You find the people on the road, you talk slogans. Lakini the actual work, unibono tokora. Kogenda paka alia sibaje zikorosu. Kusabe tokonye infrastructure. Toroselia match. It is hard work. We negotiate to do this. So it is not enough. Nenda bandwa mindaba kusi. Again tukiachire kusiga iganti tanyakora. Nyekere funeral abantu ba mobilize. Yani ugocha funeral nechigundi chicho wakara jinko. Mweba mangana mwatiga ebirero mwarenge mwachakorelisia abantu bakwereire mwanza okora ebintu bitali korrekana mwogerera abane ngotakwana oyakwane ayankora toleki panga mpango yenu ya siasa mwairoro chifinaro kwakira abantu mwabune birugo mwakora. That is disrespect. Na kignate everything koronga ki mtuaba kusina abantu twalenga bangai inki kia toroga tugoche goikase ebirero mwamanya konyora bono ebintu by'okwanu ororo mbikole thiki mbisait naende kwanyanga nawe na ebintu by'okwanu yokwanu abakabaro abantu abanene tusigete ananga bakoteba ikintu kibwene to korunga gaiga nebirero to respect a family. Inu mwacha muri politicians, you are not hurt. Mwe wete bororo bondo wens mwakore ebintu bita ikentiki wika stop wikamutiga manganayo umuntu tigoche rero umuntu oliosirete baya abantu baminopole kwana mangana moro okay, lakini siasa yego ikali geti kero angre siasa ono kwana mangana mnokorete unutagite sabaji kuracha ciao torole gosengo korore singo bua
Karo ko raiga asengo bwati sagini ansia story 2.5 obo amate bwao na your predecessor.
obia we have a very good relationship mwaka ule is a person I respect. We work, you know, Nimo Segetekara is a senior, no Montore straightforward. He did his job for the time that he did. Hasukiwa, Kaegwa, Nanjinabwatiro, Nanjinkola Senguikera, Sengotevuna Sukia, Nsuke. Because it has ye, Teliamo. Your colleagues, for the time, Kwayari, you serve at the pleasure of the president. One, you don't know why he appointed you. Two, you don't know where he has removed you. Maybe maybe you are not able to do your work. You can't know. So to blame mundo nenga ginga ko scenario se to wo yo ndeke taka akai we care ni ndukyo manyan wono na ko langilin ko ge to kya ngi kyane no ma ko inisis dinga no kware ko vera pa ko kwen. So life we just accepting you served your part. You will not be here. No one kero ke gatore. Muna mata wane kya bagusi. Baba usimbere nga ba vero. Rombaro bono. Kero munda ko vero ro ukora. So you appreciate that and you be thankful for koegwa a chance you go serve abaken. Jekera lito karanko boka ngweboli rero ibintu ngo chokora. Ngokonya bira abana be school. Ekaranko etango enda go school no boli chintara bajanga boli muru chichi basi nchire kenda to kuira abana school chiko etachire abana mbale school. Bas. Gona kodre yes again don't go chandika ngeli buna wono okonyora abana maybe just strike jinja sumbwete chane kyara kero koiro mwane school over myaka kianda it is the whole community okora ekosaba. So I didn't want that to happen and ngiri libageli go tebya bible ndo tugocha kuigora on Monday nechintera chigocha kubugori abana kamuranche mugendi gali ngora muiri chigali ngora mubwate fuata sheria era abana ba school safely because these are our future. This is why we wake up. Ekaroko nyora abana bali monde na boro kwenda school kwa rabuna very passionate about their dreams. Batagete ko grow. Bachakoba abantu. You cannot make wrong decisions. And you talk about to me abuna politics. Na ro de kera abantu ba ko enda gali osine radio station ayo denga education trio karagas education ya kule omontor mwae oyiro mwana wa school omo drop omo kwende TV station whatever education ya kule kotigo mwana school ngirendo kwa mwana school kwale kumutika bereka watanga education ya salika. So tutagete abantu baitumo tokonyane asa makosa ali na moto de makosa nara twarekebisha. Unaona CBA kara twarotanga maths te ewe optional abantu bataya gatumike maths hesabu bali bakora STEM bakore pure maths abandi bakore maths ire essential maths ire applied. So kero muntu atware nini kidogo ya maths atware knowledge kidogo yechisa we listen and once we listen we course correct so that we can have a perfect system for ourselves. So twaruanchira na yanga tubwatira namo tungusiramo kara tokungusiramo una leaders n'abantu beto bonse etoko make more impact. Kuma eteba tanga no nenkoli string yam ekubutoka bwango kubwa string iren isato karamu bwatira nete you have more energy, you have more power ne karamu sabe ndo mo tegera akine karatu atana ne tora masa gucha tuwaka chisabu chitali boronge etokoi. Unaona abantu baminto mboboli ose Raila twari kurwana como liri elections bona ero chiri twasoire broad based igotara uchige ndonga ngikere ga broad based asa serikali itu tumeo tenga bono karuna ende ga asa serikali mihenda sanga ganye myake liko nyawoje emyake ine chiki emyake ine chakore chiki gego ika abantu beto balwara to kimbaro paro to what that is all lakini bono iga tutam.
Thank you waziri. Magana kugure unatira magana tuta kugure unatira magana mu busiko bono because of the interest of time of Geust station chichiko yali gana koleta magana maye waziri. Thank you so much. Tiago kwa 1 minute yo for your parting shot much asinga kwa ekolire ko tuanjira ntoko benteta ke moyo for your parting shot.
Biamono job biamono mukate red best asoko university go chaga ega kukwana n'abantu baminto enchenko basabanga tubwatera n'abantu baminto tobeamo naende kinde buna bono ninche nde minisa yoka kurukisi mumbwatisie egere tubwaterane kurukisi and Nyamira egere kurugusi egere tubwaterane na rito gutwara chinguru none karamo gontuma nkoteba ng'ana atumitu n'abantu bonse egere twanyora ebintu biri tugusaba biachire igo kugenda mutua ase emiaka eyetigarete tupime naende tusome history tupime naende tokore tusome history into base konyora ng'a twabikire chikadi chitu ase chitamere maete nabo koruta chibando buna ebibilia egoteba onyore kwayerutete ase amagena bandeite gokoraki tekwama omurigireri ng'aki nkai ebando yetu torabeke koreki yame naende inche ndoche ase ebando yetu torabeke yame ekere yorokiri naende ntogende tokworokia obuya bwa serikali ntogende tokworokia obuya bwa Dr. William Ruto inche ndote ng'a no tokobeka chibando chitu ekiagera twarorire obuya bokorete boro nochiramere abwochi mutwe kwa muntu ndarache gotoka ng'a nero orosirie mogondo oye nabo torachikorigereri gochi mutwe lakini ochiaiga 2032 nabo tore mpaka 2027. Asanteni sana Nyasaye abasisi.
I really appreciate your time sir. Na wewe gochinga kina nendo koligi ni meterere yeli ya tumjoki kidogo but asante sana waziri. Thank you so much for gochia so mulira sukare chinga cha muliro Kisii TV. I really appreciate on behalf of Kisii TV. Asante sana. Wego on behalf of team spia leta mangana ya igaba koragwa no producer yetu kura sense ya Kisii TV Brian Mutonga na wego na Isaiah Maove. Thank you so much. Inchenkoro kwa Brian sagini sana incho na bene karango mwerelio minto mkate enoka gogote gochia so gochia you have a good night na wego torga ndi chinga kichinda. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Biamono waziri, biamono mwensia sogwancha. Watie masemo Enkwana gamna yange na waziri, kurwa gamna tukwaniri. Amaswali no na mangarenge, lakini nawe ni ntu nebiro byabayerera, ntu no byatwerreho. Chile dichon CP chialenge awetani sana esoto chumugusi tunashukuru kwa sababu twabwaterana amo. Bitaseni bionsi BHTV biamana singencho twabwaterana. Kwa niaba ya aba producer bane Nkurugabo Havira Kariri Wilfred Matundra nara Aaron Ototo na boigo yokurkunganera Obed Mukwa who is my managing director Chimkate Enoch Nkurukonga bread based wana bari recruited mwensipi manda kuli magati buna mukobeka otkovya ankyonelitko.
Asenseme ibono mwancho muriria kero togokoro morubiro bange batebire baria barenge na barabwonko irali bageriria bene kuyaneria bitasene biko bwatambya mona soko bwatrana Kisii Hot TV kurawa nemo director wa Hot TV kaka Rogers kaka Sungura na boigo ne timu ya yengi babo Ali na boigo yokurkonga nere Dennis Nyabuto aka Kurkuntu boigo ntwarenge na baralia kurwa Getembe kyoyo minto television asensemo yende ntwarenge na baria bavuna radio nara oyo minto akoroka nga Dr. Nyagaka timatisa arusi obo Dr. obo kolende ntuche kubuliria boigo na Brian ya China lenga sensemeye Geust FM jawa represented igaiga boigo Kisii FM nara MC Dudus na boigo nara Bande nara Hillary Kennedy Wanyona korwa Geust FM People Daily yaba represented na Robert Ochorondo che abantu banda bange bogo korwa Getembe Television timu ngima yaragwa na Joseph Mose head of production bogo konywa na Methusela Omwagi na boigo Cyrus Omweri na senseme bono no toko romorobirio bwenkwana yabene Enkwana twarenge gukwana na nero waziri Gisemi me Kenya akorokuanga Julius wete no professor timetsi na rusi kole no karambwango lirache timetsi kusaba okiringa wali professor Julius Ogamba twabere tukwana na ende ninde no kugena waziri nto tukutwara chinkwana bune kera chinga kielinde twasemya bagusiba ito nabo igo twabatebya na kubarokeria se abonete gucyanche nigo nkorwa Job Ongaga yukara chinga kichinde gendera kuligereria ebitaseni ebi wanchete asoro ngoro.